It's Saturday, the 17th of January 2026. Hello and welcome to The Big Issue on Channel 1 Television and on 97.3 City FM. I am Umaru Sanda-Amadu. This Big Issue is a show where we sit to dissect and analyze the big stories of the week. Everything that bothered you throughout the week that you did not properly have closure to, you come to this show, and that's where we do it for you. A brilliant set of panelists that would help us do the discussions dispassionately. I do the moderation, and we have a conversation. Of course, you have a view, and we want to hear your views too. You'll be sending your messages to us on the regular WhatsApp number, or go on social media. Mention me when you write your post at Umaru Sanda on Twitter, now known as X, or on Facebook, Umaru Sanda. Just find a cowboy journalist and drop your messages. So this is where everything happens on a Saturday morning, mid-morning, from 9 a.m. till midday. We are here to bring you The Big Issue. I'll return to tell you what their stories are. Please stay.
The Sweetroot Secondary School's Wesco Alumni Association invites all alumni to its annual all-year groups Thanksgiving and Remembrance Service. There will be remembrance of the departed PACAs and also the launch of the 67th Speech and Prize Giving Day. The date, Sunday the 18th of January 2026. Time, it's 2 p.m. Venue, Cedar Mountain Assemblies of God Church, East Legon. Contact your year group president and register your attendance now. Semper Cum Optimus, always with the best. In a world filled with challenges, we all need guidance, hope, and a lifeline to anchor us.
This is Lifeline, and I'm your host, Fred Crunchy Mensa.
From social issues, relationship challenges, and family matters, Lifeline is here to inspire, uplift, and guide you on your journey.
Where we give you support, where we hold your hand through the valley and through the thick and thins of life.
Join Bishop Fred Crunchy Mensa.
I welcome you especially to Lifeline.
Every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. right here on Channel 1 TV. Let's walk this path together, strengthen our faith, our families, and our lives. Lifeline, because every soul deserves a guiding light. Tune in to Lifeline on Channel 1 TV and let's grow together.
Welcome to The Point of View. This is your favorite current affairs show here on Channel 1 Television. On The Point of View, we pick the right topics, get the right guests, and ask them relevant questions on issues that matter to you.
With the complexities of the issues happening around us on a daily basis, it's the hard-hitting conversations and the probing questions of The Point of View.
So what is the Public Account Committee's job?
So what we do is to scrutinize, clarify, and find out why certain infractions have been made.
What do these IMF programs try to do?
The current program is for budget support.
Okay.
There are no projects attached.
That teases apart the twisted entanglements of politics and governance, as well as religious and social discourse. The Point of View brings you the policymakers and duty bearers and drills down to the very bottom of issue.
What authority do you have?
The Point of View airs every Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV.
You're welcome back. This is Channel 1 Television and 97.3 City FM. This is The Big Issue, where we do the dispassionate discussion and analysis of the big stories. I am Umaru Sanda-Amadu. So what are we looking at on the discussion board this morning? There are three major issues that we have distilled from the big stories of the week that I want to talk to you or have a conversation about. The first one affects everybody except myself and the people in, actually affects me, but the people in this, my panelists, it does not affect them. It has to do with trotro fares and the challenges that passengers go through to get trotro lately. It's something that happens in December where there's a there are a lot of people traveling, and these people would want to get on board a trotro, but the trotro is never available because the numbers are more. Now we are seeing that in January, and we are told that the GPRTU or the drivers of these trotros are deliberately trying to set up the government or sabotage the government. So we'll talk about that. Then the Elephant Party, the NPP, is in the news again. They are preparing to go to the polls on 31st January to elect a flag bearer. But even before they do that, they are on an expulsion spree. They are sacking one of the most important people, not just in the NPP, but in this country when it comes to national development and politics. Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, he had his own issues as a foremost fighter against Galamsey. But notwithstanding, his contributions for the NPP have been enormous. And today, the party is planning to remove him. Why? Because he said the party is a joke. And the third issue we'll be looking at has to do with the LGBTQI plus debate. You remember everything the NDC said against it in opposition? The claim now is that the NDC is promoting the very thing that it was fighting, and that there are teacher manuals that are being rolled out, which teacher manuals contain some description of what gender is. People were taking issue with that. Reverend Tim Fojo raised that. So we'll talk about that one. But the first topic we want to look at, and before I tell you what the first topic is, let me introduce my guest in studio. So Professor Titus Bewo is a member of parliament, Beyo, not Bewo, member of parliament for Lambusie in the Upper West region. He used to be a member of the Ghana Medical Association, and then he ran away. Prof, you're welcome to The Big Issue.
Thank you, and good morning to your viewers.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I don't think I ran away.
You ran away from...
I served the association faithfully, rising to the level of General Secretary.
You ran away from the theater to go and be in the chamber. I mean, this is not fair.
No, it's all in public service.
It's all public service.
Yes.
Why are you wearing blue, though? NPP colors, why?
Oh,
I
don't think blue now means NPP.
Oh, mostly.
No.
Okay. Good to have you, bro.
Glad to be here.
My next panelist...
Good morning to the co-panelists.
Thank you. Good morning. My next panelist is... the NDC used to call it propaganda secretary. The NPP just calls it director of communication. But I think it's similar, is it not? Honorable Richard Ahiagba is director of communications of the New Patriotic Party. Efogan, you're welcome.
Thank you, Maro.
Do you dissociate yourself with the propaganda secretary title, or you accept?
No, we don't accept that nomenclature.
But it's a nice thing. But that's what you do.
Well, it's diabolic.
But you propagate your agenda. That's propaganda.
You know the man who ended the name?
Yes.
And you see how he operates?
Yes.
Okay. I don't need to mention his name.
No.
It's a tag. I don't think he wants to continue.
Oh, you are referring to the Bolshevik era.
Yes. We chose the right one, and then they actually went with it also. They have the
because you bullied them into saying that thing is. But
good things bully people naturally.
Very well, welcome, Richard.
Accept it. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you in the chair.
Nice. My next guest is a former friend of mine. He's grown grey beard now, so I've dissociated myself from him. Duncan Amwa is the executive director of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. You're welcome.
Sanda, thank you and thanks for disassociating.
How are you doing?
See, you the young men, right now you fear grey hair, and it's okay. One day you'll grow to meet it.
Until then. You're welcome, Duncan.
Thank you, Sanda.
So what are we starting with? Transport issues and challenges people encounter getting trotro in these past few days. My colleague in the newsroom, Niaikwe Okain, has a report of how people struggle at bus stops and bus terminals.
Getting a car to your destination after work in Accra has often been time-consuming, highly stressful, and this has often been as a result of traffic congestion or public transport challenges. Today, the situation is no different here at La Paz, precisely the Las Palmas Junction, as several commuters have poured onto the streets in a bid to get transport to their respective destinations. Many are jostling to make way into the minivans that approach them to get on board to their respective destinations, and it's been a hectic one at that. Those who do not have that strength to struggle make sure that they stand waiting for hours before they can be able to get a vehicle that is spacious enough to accommodate them. I have some of these commuters here. I would want to approach a few of them and engage them, find out what exactly the situation is. Sir, good evening and thanks for joining us. Sir, we want to find out from you, where are you heading to and for how long have you been here?
Oh, I'm heading to Awoshi, and I went to buy some food stuff, so I'm going back home.
For how long have you been here?
Let's say 2 hours now.
2 hours?
2 hours now, because there's no car available, so I have to wait. People are struggling to get car, but still, I'm still waiting to get vehicle to my end, but yes, still.
But it's strange that you've been here for 2 hours and you are not getting vehicles. Some 30 minutes and 20 minutes, but 2 hours is quite strange.
It's true, because where the car is going, I've not been getting car to where I'm going. That's why I've been here for long. So I'm still waiting if I'll get vehicle.
Is this your first time here picking a vehicle, or you come here every month?
No, I used to be coming here. For the past 2 weeks, I've been coming here.
And this has been the situation?
Today it's been so hectic. I've not been getting ready. That's what I'm saying, almost 2 hours.
I'm a butcher at Malata, selling meat at Malata Butcher Shop.
So what are you doing here currently at La Paz?
Yes, I've come to take a car to go home. Yeah, and I said I told to.
For how long have you been here?
I've been here about 15 minutes or at least 1 hour.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just in search of car?
Yes.
To where?
To
Soto.
Yes.
And why? Why are you not getting a car?
Because there are no cars. There are no cars, and people are standing in a hot queue for many hours. And right now, if somebody you want a truck or a car to go home, you won't get, unless you take Uber or Okada. And the Okada too is very expensive. But because of there are no cars, and you too, if you are a woman, then you want to go home and cook for your husband and your children, by all means you have to take the Okada. So any amount they mention, you have to pay. Other than that, you stay up till some time.
A very sad situation and spectacle there on the streets of Accra. This has forced the vice president, because the president is not in the country, it's in Davos. So the vice president went around yesterday to some of the state-owned transport terminals, and she made some commitments and announcements. Let's watch Professor Nana Jenopokwajiman.
So we want to organize and expand our transport services to promote and improve access, to ensure affordability and security too for the motoring public. We are taking steps. So we are therefore taking steps to improve the public transport system, not only by retooling, but also, of the state services, but especially of the private sector too. And I hope that answers your concern about the support that you need.
So that's Professor Nana Jenopokwajiman, the Vice President of the Republic. So let me come in studio and let me say that I have other guests who will be joining me via Zoom. Franklin Kujo is President of Imani Africa. He will be joining us in a bit. Dr. Bernard Abeku Arthur is an urban transport planning analyst. He will be joining us. And all the way from Abrochiri, the man who chased the elephant to the bush, Dr. Arthur Kennedy, would be joining us if you know what I'm talking about. But let me start in studio. And I think, Duncan, it would be appropriate to start with you. You deal a lot with these transport organizations and also deal with the government on the management of our transport space. This new phenomenon we are seeing, it's sabotage, is it not?
Sander, let me say good morning to you and of course to my colleague panelists and those joining us, those at home. Sander, things are getting to a head. These are systemic issues that we have refused to deal with over the years. We've appointed transport ministers. The only role that you see them publicly play, usually, is to call the transport unions to come and negotiate for transport fare adjustments, 10%, 5%, that's all they do. But if you look at public transport planning, it's been lacking completely. And so we sort of depend on a system that is not funded nor adequately regulated. Why do I say this? Most of the buses that we use, the smaller buses, the mini buses are privately procured. I'll take us back to the early 2000s. You recall the banks had gotten involved because some amount of research had been done that suggested that instead of putting their monies into treasury bills and all of that, they should go into the public transportation space. So ADB financed a couple of these buses, EcoBank. A lot of the companies actually bought these mini buses to ferry people to and fro. But again, the underlying challenge was not addressed. So it wasn't sustainable even to the banks, those with bigger money. So imagine if individuals are rather expected to sustain that sector. There will be an eventual collapse at some point because of two reasons. One, we are not able to scientifically determine the cost per head per kilometer in Ghana. So everything is sentimental, is emotional. From Odoko to La Paz or Kaneshi or whatever. Let's collect 5 cities. No, 6 will do. There's no scientific basis whatsoever. And in fact, we have advocated for that to become the norm for years.
But do we have that anywhere also that if I'm moving from Ashaiman to Accra, the number of kilometers will determine how much I pay and that I know how much I pay per kilometer?
You see, Sanda, there's a very useful lesson from the petroleum sector where I usually would focus on. We are able to determine the cost per liter per kilometer. So for the haulage companies that transport fuel from one point to the other. So if he is carrying 17,000 or 14,500 or 54,000 or 27,000, you're able to determine that the volume of product he is carrying over a distance, right? And the longer they go, the more you reduce the cost per kilometer, because then again, it wouldn't make sense to say that the car would then be buying, more tires, more brake pads, because it's already in motion. Mm-hmm. It will not be paying the driver additional incomes because it's already driving. So over 156 kilometers, the first 156 will probably attract the full freight. Between 156 to 300 is net of some 5 or 10%, so that it doesn't become overly expensive because somebody drove to Wa or Boko or Bolga because of the distance. So the petroleum sector is able to determine that, and efficiently so, able to pay these guys who haul petroleum products. But when you come to dry cargo, when you come to the human, ferrying from one point to the other, we leave it to the whims and caprices of, people's emotions. So the transport minister calls the union. Union says 20%. Minister says, 10. They haggle and juggle, come to 15%. Eventually, the union will still have a problem. Sanda, you know why? Their overheads would have been captured at the said meeting, right? But the state of their buses. And these buses, if you do typical finance or accounting, are to be depreciated over a period. If it is a 10-year period or 20-year period, the buses are already old. We are not thinking of replacing them or saving to be able to replace them. We only think of the fact that I need to go and buy brake pad. Brake pad is 150 Ghana. So I input that into my cost. And then I say, okay, if I'm able to get 5 cities per head per kilometer, I'll be able to run effectively. So eventually, the guys that I knew some 5 years ago with some of these, but they've lost them. The second other critical factor is that we say in Ghana, your car must be roadworthy. And then we go to sleep forgetting that the road must also be a little car worthy, so that a normal vehicle with a 16-inch tire or a 14-inch tire can be able to ply it. Sanda, a lot of people are forced in Ghana to go for 4x4s, not because they want, but because of the clearance and the nature of our roads. Roads are so terrible in most parts. You are lucky to drive on very nice roads within the central business district and, you know, some nice parts. The moment you move out 10 kilometers of the capital itself, the kind of roads you meet, mind you, these drivers would have to ply everywhere across the country. There are places you may not find even tarred roads. And so, Sanda, the kind of pressure that these drivers would have to undergo on a daily, driving a 14-inch rim, especially if you look at those with VITs, the Daewoo Matis in rural areas, the places like in Koko that had
like
the
Lambusi.
As Lambusi, yes. So we simply refuse to deal with the systemic issue, right? And it's gotten to a head. Don't forget, lastly, that there's also population explosion. There's rural-urban drift, right? So there will be a lot more pressure as people move from, you know, the periphery to the center. We have no plan for anything, Sanda. The only time we have a conversation between the transport ministry and the driver bodies is when we are discussing 10%, 5%.
So there isn't a continuous monitoring and there isn't the support from the state?
The state, there's no reinvestment, there's no attempt whatsoever to make, you know, driving conditions any better for these drivers.
Okay. I was thinking of this. Transportation is a national security issue. We've left it in the hands of private people.
Agreed.
Should the state have taken over public transport? Because what we are seeing the past few days, imagine if the state was in charge, the state cannot sabotage itself. But in this case, if the private sector wants to sabotage the state, they can do that.
Why I would disagree completely with anybody that has that notion that the private sector is sabotaging the state. The state has also been involved. Don't forget. The state has introduced Metro Mass, STC, Ayalolo, and recently, before Richard's party left, they were bringing in those small electric buses. So the state has intervened. It's not that the state has left.
That's very insignificant
It
in
is.
the scheme of things.
If you look at the number of Metro Mass buses that we had at one point, right? The state itself could not sustain Metro Mass.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So the state has contributed, but the contribution...
So wait, Sanda, if the state itself, what they invested in was not sustainable, and so their buses are off the roads, the state expects that the private people, right, who had no sustainability whatsoever program, should be able to keep the system fluid and running. Yet what the state itself pumped millions into several years ago, today if you go to Metro Mass and Ayalolo, I'm sure the number of buses that they can be able to put out for our comfort, you can count them on some. So they invested. But the same deplorable road conditions, the same cost per head per kilometer, that should have been scientifically proven so that if I am taking, let's say, 10 cities or 1 city per kilometer, of that 1 city, 20 pesos is going into refinancing the bus, right? 20 pesos goes into my spare parts, 20 pesos goes into the recurrent, the fuel and all of that, 20 goes into insurance and DVLA charges, 20 probably for profit, right? If you're able to determine that scientifically, anytime the bus moves, there's some amount of money that you are saving to be able to replace it over a period of time.
Okay.
But we don't do this, Sanda.
Very well.
So drivers are not sabotaged. For me, I'll be disappointed with anybody that holds the notion that, look, the driver wants to make money.
So he will not park
if
his car.
you buy a bus, you want the bus to go and work. Would you want to park the bus because sabotage? At this point, I don't think we are being fair to them.
Okay. I'll come in studio and talk to my politician friends because they are in charge of policy. Let me try and get a few more independent minds before. Franklin Kujo is president of Imani Africa. He's joining us via Zoom. Franklin, you're welcome to The Big Issue. Sorry, you should be welcoming me.
Hello.
Yes, Franklin, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you very much. Listen, how are you? I can see you. You are doing well.
Yeah, I'm doing well. People may not know this, but I know that you live somewhere in the rural part of Pokwasi, and I know how bad your road is. And Duncan here is saying that the structural issue should not be seen in isolation, and that it's interconnected. So the poor roads lead to the breaking down of vehicles and all the challenges thereof. And so ultimately, what we are seeing on the road is our own undoing. We are not prepared, or we did not prepare to deal with this matter. I don't know what your view is on this issue.
Well, I think I understand where Duncan is coming from, but even more so, I think I must have read somewhere that the current Minister of Transport suggested that, the reasons why we're having this challenge of transportation, with people basically queuing and looking for transport, simply because, the economy is doing well, and because the economy is doing well, a lot more people are coming to town. Anyway, there's some latent, if you like, understanding about pull factors, push factors, when it comes to economics, right? So maybe we can grant him that. But I think if he said that, then I'm sure he probably don't have a plan. Because as a transport minister, after a whole year, he should have actually assessed the situation as we speak right now, and actually offered some maybe good advice. But having said that, look, Duncan is wrong. Look, the road network is also a big problem. It's a huge problem. Look at how long it's taking us to finish that road. The road you just referred to, the Accra, then from call someone leg of that road. It's beyond comprehension. I've never understood how we do things here. That the last government, those guys, the last guys in power, actually, the money was voted to fast track their work. Then in the wisdom of the Minister for Rules and maybe the government, they thought that, let's not use all the money to construct such a major road, but rather let's do small, give some to some people, and then just chop the money. I mean, look, it is unconscionable. So I think that is also part of the problem. We don't prepare. Look at our public infrastructure. We don't think. What doing? You build 111 hospitals. You don't even think about the way you organize staff and critical care people to give care. You don't even have facility. Why are you putting up all these things around? You want to chop money. I'm saying that if you come back to the roads, it's the same thing. You spread yourself so thin, share the money like toffees, and thank to Ato, by the way, for not agreeing to giving people money to go and start mobilization. They should go and mobilize the money. If you are correct, then you go do your thing. So you see, there's been a deliberate attempt to destroy our public sector infrastructure, and it's all because of corruption. So for me, coming back to the ordinary citizens are crying. Look at how long it took people, how long it takes people. In fact, anytime I'm coming through from the office, I just cringe. I feel so bad for people. I'm like, Charlie, what is this? This is not fair. So the things we do to ourselves as elites, we do to the country as elites, it's unconscionable. That road should have been done probably after, I don't know, maybe after, before or whatever it is. We should have finished that road long ago. And the last guy had an opportunity, got an Exim Bank guarantee money, and decided that, hey, okay, well, I feel I mean, what kind of human beings are these? What kind of murderous, kleptocratic, wicked people are this? How do you do this to yourselves and do this to your country? Why? And the guys come and justify that. You need that to make sure. You need that to do what? When a major road like this, look at the Cape Coast road. It is just. I'm so surprised that
it's a matter of time, is it not? They've been frantically working on it.
Oh, please, what time? I mean, how do you spend all these years working on that road? What is the level? How many kilometers are we dealing with right now, really? I mean, when we take a look at all these major roads, like Cape Coast Road, these other articles, the road we are just talking about. How long should it take? Should it take more than 2-3 years to fix a road of just about 100 and something kilometers or less? What is this? I mean, look, it is not fair, and I think it's deliberate. It's wickedness, and I don't understand how you do this thing. So, my brother, I think we do these things to ourselves. And by the way, we should also be making the point that Of course, I mean, road infrastructure goes hand in hand with proper transport policy. As forever, the state has never been good at managing public transport. We all know that, right? We all know that. So the least the state can do, instead of getting involved in all this transport thing, maybe they should, but I think they should rather focus on fixing the road, making the roads more travel, let people play.
So the state should not compete. I mean, I know you have a capitalist view. You are pro Donald Trump. So, but
the state should not compete.
But should the state not intervene? Because, like I was saying earlier, imagine if all the trotro drivers had to park their cars and say that unless you increase your fare, we will not go. You can't force them to put their buses on the road. But if the state had big, high occupancy buses, maybe the state can deploy them. We saw John Dumelo doing that by renting buses and bringing them to carry people at bus stops because the GPRT was simply not available.
Well, it's a good thing. I'm not saying the state should not intervene at all. But this type of state is a vampire state. This is the type of state you are dealing with. Vampire. Okay. About Shola, these are not the type of people you are talking about abroad. I mean, you go to Oslo, you go to all these places. It's organized, right? The state pays. These people, you didn't even construct proper trains. I'll be this sky tree. You see the sort of human beings you are dealing with.
No, that's Richard Ahangba's
people. No, it's Richard there.
He's here. They said they'll give us sky train. Even the land one is a problem.
Richard is a good brother. By the way, we are supposed to be meeting there. I don't even understand this whole thing. I sit back and I get so angry. I'm like, what is happening to black? You know, I'm not saying blacks, but I don't understand. So the state should play a role, but not the type of vampires. Imagine the state is playing a role. They'll go and buy all sort of substandard stuff. It's not fair. It's not fair to the way we treat people. And I think we are getting there. Look, public service should maybe we should start examining. I would say we should examine people before they get into it. The avarice, the wickedness, it's just too much. It's just too much. And I think, look, we really need to do a lot more for people. It's not fair at all. Okay. So the state should participate, but the state should be an intelligent state. You see, an intelligent state that participates in the economy is the one that would have prioritized the roads well, and then later put in the buses and compete because they subsidize those rates for people. I mean, this is the way to organize a society.
Okay.
Come on. You're not organizing. I just disorganized.
Yeah. Thank you, Franklin. That's Franklin Kojo, President of Human Africa. Prof, your government or the party which you belong to, which is in government, has said that it is going to do what is called the big push, which is focusing on roads. It's big. Everybody's excited. I don't know how long it will take for us to fix all our roads, but in the interim, should we redirect some of our funding to maybe trains? Because I always make the point that if we fix transportation, we would have fixed half of our problems. Yeah. Imagine if we had a train that would move from Accra to, in fact, and I say this embarrassingly, that the only working commercial train we have in Ghana today was brought into this country the year I was born, 1987. It moves from Tema, Asoprochona, to Accra in the morning. Then it will wait in the night, it will go back. The one that Atamils brought some time back in 2010, 2011, the one with the Ghana flag, broken down. The one that Akufo-Addo and his people brought went to hit a Kia truck around Japan. So we don't have one on the Western Corridor. Pathetic. There's no train moving from Accra to Nsawam anymore. Only Accra Tema. Even that one, you can't really trust it.
Yeah, Omar, it's a very, very sad situation that we find ourselves in. I would want to first empathize and let the traveling public recognize that we feel the pain, we all suffer it, and we do hope that we can improve the situation. And also appreciate the stopgap measures being put in by government. These are only stopgap. We really have to look at this holistically. We appreciate the efforts of the Minister for Transport, the Vice President immediately intervening. It's a sign of a listening government that is willing to assuage the suffering of the people. And also commend my colleague John Dumelo for what he did yesterday. But if you look at what has brought us here, really, we can find remote causes and immediate causes. The immediate causes are, first, the roads is one. resulting in a lot of the vehicles broken down, as Duncan has alluded to. The other one is that, there is a sudden return of people to commercial activity following the break. And so you would expect that there will be low activity in terms of transportation during the holiday, but there is a peak just before and a peak after. So we are suffering that peak. This is not entirely new. I think it will settle. But it's really a reflection of the very lack of planning and deliberate effort to tackle our transportation. So that takes us to the remote courses. And number one is what you have mentioned, the unimodal mode of transportation in this country. We have said this, and I tackled it not from the point of view of a transport expert, but from a medical point of view. When we looked at the carnage on our road, way back around 2018, and then in the early 2021, in fact, the GMA, Ghana Medical Association, did an entire conference on transport and the road traffic accident. And it was a clear recommendation that to the extent that we have just a unimodal form of transportation.
Please explain unimodal. Some of us, we didn't do science.
Okay, I mean, you alluded to it. If you go to most countries, you would have other modes of transport. We are not depending exclusively on the road. Here,
so there's train, there's water transport, there's air transport.
There's air transport. Even on the road, in the big cities like this, you'll find trams.
There's even zip line. No, I mean zip line, the rope that you climb and cross.
Fine. Yes. So you realize that any country that has tackled or is thinking about population expansion and all of that, wanting to reduce carnage on your road, will have to deploy multiple forms of transportation. But we have consistently emphasized on only road transport. Unfortunately, no matter what we do, we will never be able to solve this problem to the extent that we focus on the roads. The roads are important, but we have to add other modes of transport. You've mentioned the train. Look at what the trains can do to us. If we had commercial train, cargo train, one, the roads will last longer because these heavy trucks crossing to Burkina, crossing to Mali that are damaging our roads will not be there because the cargo of the rail will complement this. And it will be quicker, it will be cheaper, and so they will not damage the roads for us. Because of that, there's a lot of pressure on the roads, and the roads are not able to sustain. I can understand the concept of the big push infrastructure and why His Excellency has to come in, because it is an immediate to intermediate long-term response to our years of neglect on the road. And when you are saddled with such situation, you have to start from somewhere. We do recognize that we need the roads. We do recognize that you need trains. We do recognize that you may need some metro stations and all of that. But in the meantime, what do? We've had consistent year of roads. But what is the result? Not one proper motorable roads connect any other regional capital to the national capital. Just give me one.
But they left behind the one connecting to Cape Coast. It's still on, but they were working on it when they left.
Was it more trouble?
No, but it's dust, a lot of dust. But maybe when the dust settles.
At this point, Duncan will have to tell us the kind of car you use. Because I live in the Kaswa enclave.
I use Tico.
And for the car I use, that road is not very motorable.
Yeah.
So if you are moving from Accra, just mention anywhere. And you struggle to get to one regional capital from the national capital by one good road. After several years.
Not to talk about regional capitals connecting to other regions.
After several years of road. So what have we done to ourselves? It is in that direction that His Excellency felt that, look, let's bring this big push, try to open up the country. But I would say it is commendable, but will not solve this problem. It will improve our transportation, but there will still be the associated carnage on the roads.
What do you think can solve this immediate problem of what should be done? What should be done to the private sector?
So my immediate solution, to the extent that we still depend on the roads so much, that is the immediate, is that it must be government-led.
But my issue
private
is
sector.
We are moving the conversation to road, but the issue now is that Trotro people are not available either deliberately or not deliberately to ferry people.
Exactly.
What should be the immediate solution to that?
So the immediate solution, I think, is that, and I think yesterday the Vice President intimated that, and I said these are stopgap measures, and I want us to emphasize that they are not permanent solutions. That we need to have proper engagement. We need more buses on the road because private buses are broken down. It's either with the improved economy, there can be facilities for private owners to also buy new buses. And we have to support them. They must get realistic fares. As he has mentioned, look, if you bring 100 new buses, even the government struggles to maintain its own buses. How much more the private person? So we have to either we know the operators, either give them loan facilities with very low interest rate to be able to buy. That will bring an immediate relief. But going forward, we must be able to pay them something realistic that will allow them to be able to maintain these buses. But I'm saying that if we leave all this entirely to the private sector, it brings a challenge. If you go to countries that have worked and they continue to improve their transportation, there is dominance of state play. And the state may play a role in regulation and making sure that the private sector participate actively, but in a well-regulated space. If you leave things to chances, that is really risky. So I think that investment will help. More buses, supporting, engaging the transport union leaders. They may also bring very valuable solutions. She talked about more buses for buses like the Ayalolo transport system, the Metro Mass. All of those immediately will come in. But I am very confident that this situation will soon die down. But what I don't want us to do as a nation is to let this conversation die when this situation dies down. Because the population of Accra is projected to increase. We are around 5 million now. It is projected that by 2050, we'll hit 10 million. And if we are still using this firefighting approach, using only road transportation, by that time, the chaos we encounter will be worse than this.
Should we go and force the drivers to bring their buses on the road and insist that they don't charge the unapproved fees that they are charging?
That would be interesting. You would then have to go to a lot of garages. You go to the operator, he will show you garages where his cars are broken down, where the suspensions are all off, where the shocks are down. Are you going to fix them and ask them to bring that car to the road?
So we can't use force, we have to negotiate.
That is why I say we have to engage them and find out. Some of them may need support to buy new buses. If we can do that, why not?
Okay.
And then once we do that, we have to look at sustainability. That is where the discussion of the tariffs come in. Fuel has dropped, which is very good. We will appreciate it if they reduce their fare, but the reduction should be such that it allows them to be able to maintain the vehicle. My last thing on the sabotage is that you see, the thinking behind why some people are thinking that there's sabotage. I don't think the sabotage is that people have deliberately parked their vehicles. No. But when it is a normal thing in most Ghanaians to try to milk every situation and make money. If that's what we are describing of the sabotage, then there's an element of it. Okay. Where when you see a lot of people parked, waiting for a vehicle, then you decide that even though I was going to Domi, now I'm going to Achimota. That is a deliberate, intentional effort to make more money out of the situation. But I don't personally believe that someone will buy a vehicle and at this point where there is increased numbers, where he can make a lot of profit by making multiple trips, he'll go and park the vehicle. The other thing that may be explaining it is the traffic situation. If the trotro leaves Kaneshi to get to Kaswa and come back, maybe the person has 3 vehicles, 2 have broken down, and the one that goes to Kaswa is stuck in traffic.
It takes 2 hours to get there, or 3 or 4.
By the time he gets back, the queue is even longer. So we have to realize that we just have to increase the fleet. How do we help the private person increase their fleet? So let's have
the problem is Hydra headed.
Yes, let's look at that constructive discussion and not apportion blames.
Various heads to this problem. Richard, but one of the heads you were trying to deal with was train transport or rail transport. And your party said you were going to give us trains in the sky. It sounded absurd, but it's practical. I have seen the sky train in Dubai, and I know what it does. But 8 years on, you had a ministry for railway specific for 8 years. And yet, we're here still saying we need trains, and we're having challenging transport. What should be the policy approach to dealing with our transportation crisis?
Well, thank you. And thanks to my brothers here. And as for Franklin, he seemed to be turned off by the state of affairs, but I encourage him to still have faith in Ghana, because very soon the better managers would come, and these affairs will be dealt with.
Okay.
But my brother said something. I want to follow up. He said these problems will die down soon. It's kind of interesting. How and how soon are you?
Yeah, I mean,
because you run our pairs. So how soon and
no,
and how exactly?
Okay, the natural traffic of the commuters, which is a surge immediately following the holidays.
Okay, so it's not
That's
like
what I'm
you
referring
mean
to.
that government has something up its sleeves?
No, government is handling this emergency with stopgap measures because it's an unusual rise peak in commuting, which we have to bring in stopgap measures. But I'm saying that we have a deliberate effort, and I've mentioned some of those things towards the solution.
So there's no plan to inject more vehicles?
Oh, we mentioned that. The VIP mentioned it herself. That they are getting more buses.
He was not in town. The vice president said
he was out campaigning.
Because I'm tempted to think that is this part of some drive to create, because the world government narrative is that there's some artificial shortage created by the private person.
No, they said they'll bring high occupancy buses. That's what the vice president said. She went to Ayalolo, went to Metro Mass.
So they have procured those already.
They are working on procuring them.
They have already procured them.
No, they are working on.
This is going to come and say, look at us, we have responded.
No, they are working on procuring
it happens
them.
because with the NDC, you can't put anything past them. They can drive a certain narrative to create some of these environment and therefore come as the savior, having created the problem here.
So they create a problem and solve it, and
then ask us to applaud them.
Like raising the interest rates, bringing cost of living so high, and then coming to bring gold board and claiming that we are fixing things. So vote for us in 2024.
Honestly, you can't put anything past them. They are capable.
This was missed. You didn't get it. I was targeting you.
But I just won't respond. But I'm just saying that because the NPC don't put anything past them, because they are capable of anything. But you see, the problem with transportation, and that's one problem I had with the Minister for Communication.
Communication or transport?
No, communication, Felix.
Felix Kwachi. Information.
No, I'm saying information.
Okay, so government communication.
So to the extent he's creating the impression that maybe some artificial shortage has been created and people are rent seeking, private people doing their own business are rent seeking as though government has some right in or share in their business, whereupon what drives their profit motive for coming to business is almost suddenly criminal, and government has a legitimacy to say that don't do that. I mean, it's very shocking to me. I don't think that government in any sense should be reading such motives into people's private business, which Umaru is founded to make profit. Now, government has a role to play. The transport issue that we're facing is a function of supply, right? There's a lot more commuters. Demand is high, but then you have less supply of transport available to move them. And that naturally, in a competitive environment, it drives price. And then you would imagine that we have quite a reasonable number of vehicles in Accra, for example, that should be able to move people and has been moving people fairly without all this drama. But then suddenly you have a situation that has come to a head. The natural situation or natural question for government to ask is, so what is bringing about this problem? And I think that the suspicious or more or less the idea that people are being disingenuous by creating shortages, I don't think that flies for me. But
I don't think it's deliberate.
No, I don't think it's deliberate at all. And the government should not be driving that. It's a profit space. Those transport operators are driven by profit, and so they're in that business to make profit. And so where they have opportunities to make profit, they'll go for it. It's government's business to find out how do we ameliorate this plight that Ghanaians are in. commendable. Others have come up, I think the Dumelo situation you are talking about, come out to support his constituents and the rest of those. Those are ad hoc interventions that are there. But a more sustainable approach beyond the road issue, which is actually the NDPC has a framework which deals with, I think, from 2018, 2047 or so, we're supposed to achieve a certain road infrastructure development benchmarks. And once we do that, it will feed into the entire transport issue. But the question right now is, how is the private transport system regulated? Regulation is a problem. Instead of crying about people trying to make profit, which is their legitimate enterprise, how is government regulating, which is its mandate, regulate and create an environment for business to thrive? How is it regulating this transport, private transport organizations? GPRTU, for example, literally has control of all the bus terminals. Okay, how do you know what is happening there?
You can't regulate what you don't control.
Exactly.
I mean, what you don't own.
We don't own.
So
you understand?
the state cannot come, because if they say anything, they will carry their buses and
and go home. So there must be some creative means to regulate their affairs. In fact, in that NDPC framework, there is an aspect of it critical, which is to empower the MDAs, so municipal assemblies, to play a key role, the MMDAs, in terms of how these transport people operate, so that the lorry parks and the rest of those will be co-managed and ensure that there is some oversight to ensure that these things are done properly. Apart from the road matter, which I think Duncan and Prof have talked about extensively, I think that we need to get to a point where we are zoning for all the vehicles that run. So you cannot just get up from your house, have a vehicle, you are part of GPRTU, and then you have your license, whatever, buy your income tax and everything, and then you just choose which road to go and drive on.
Shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
So there should be a framework.
There should be a framework that regulates, and that's where the assembly should come in, that help to regulate. So if you're going to operate within Accra, all the Accra assemblies must have a system. So I should be registered with maybe in Saomadeju, for example, the assembly, that my vehicle will ply from Saom to Accra. Okay, but even that, the zoning aspect of that should be that from Nsawam you terminate at Achimota. Then you have high occupancy vehicles that can collect the people from there into the inner cities. That will deal with several issues to do with traffic as well as the mobility of people. You can take more people at a time. And so if we have government playing this kind of role in the short term, we can deal with these matters and then not have a situation where people are trying to question the legitimate enterprise of people to make profit. So that's what I see that this government, one, the idea that I see they are trying to create a problem and show up tomorrow to be the heroes who solved it. And two, the idea that they are not being conscious of the environment you operate in. It's a free market. Okay, it's a free market. You cannot then be questioning people's drive to leverage the market for a solution.
During the Mills era, we had this bus rapid transport where we said we're going to have the median of the roads being dedicated to buses. Yeah. And that's how come we had that overhead at Graphic.
Yes.
I remember that because I was there when Chenche, former Accra mayor, and I think President Mills at the time cut the sword. Then they said they were changing the move from Accra to Kaswa to Adenta. So we have bus rapid transit, which became Ayalolo or the Gapti. Those buses are sitting at Adenta. We haven't deployed them because the problem is that you want to sit in a comfortable bus with charging port, air conditioning and everything, and yet it's moving at a snail pace. So what's the point of bringing high occupancy buses when you don't have dedicated lanes? The issue of dedicated lanes, and even there's even this conversation around working on letting, peak hour lanes, so that you let people, if for instance in the evening going to Nungwa there's a lot of traffic, so open more lanes on the other side. I don't know if you think that we should make it a law.
Elsewhere it is done, because which way traffic is moving, there's more dedication. So even on this side you can have those maybe from the evening traffic, people are going to maybe Adenta, for example. You dedicate this other extra road to them to be able to use. That's an ingenious way to solve the problem. But you see, I think that in the immediate term, rather than instead of constructing, of course, that's a long-term solution where we can construct additional roads and dedicate them to certain buses and all of that. The zoning idea, if looked at properly, you see, when you from in Sawam all the way to Achimota, okay, barring the issues at Amasama and a little bit of traffic there, it is fairly straight. Okay, there isn't too much traffic to come in there. So when you come there, the bulk of the vehicle that are bringing people from there, when they terminate there, let's say about 50 cars does that. Okay, all the people coming to Accra, about 50 trotro cars bring them. You have about 10 high occupancy vehicles to be able to carry all those people. You free the inner city. Yeah. So from Adenta all the way, when you get to, say, for example, Atomic, for example, you terminate the high occupancy. So you reduce the traffic in the space and have these vehicles move people. Okay. You can do that and sustain the situation until when you're able to expand the roads and have dedication, and that discipline grows because you have a dedicated lane and other people are driving into it and create traffic. So I think that government should be rather sitting and thinking and seeing how it can solve the problem and leveraging regulation as well as all other tools available to them to solve the problem, rather than mounting the pulpit and blaming people who are just trying to make a living.
They're not blaming anybody.
Well, Phyllis is blaming people. He said they are rent seeking. You've heard that. He said they are rent seeking.
I've not heard.
I'm telling you now.
My ears have not worked since yesterday. This is the big issue on Channel 1 TV and on 97.3. Let me go on the phone lines and speak to Dr. Bernard Abeku Arthur. He's an urban transport planning analyst. You're welcome to the big issue, sir.
Thank you, Omaru. And thank you to the panel.
I've been to Kenya. I was in Nairobi, and I took a tuk-tuk. Not tuk-tuk, the other one. The tuk-tuk is tuk-tuk is the Pragya, Matatu is the Atrotro. I mean the moto one. The moto, they have a name for it. Boda, that's what they call it.
Yes, Boda.
I took a Boda, and I ordered it via the Uber platform. Now, what I noticed was that there's a circle that has been done in the inner part of the city where the Boda is not allowed to cross. If you cross and get in there, you have to pay extra. So for some reason, they freed up their capital. So in the city center, Nairobi, the tuk-tuk cannot go there, the Boda cannot. Even the Matatu, if you go, you have to pay extra. Could that be the solution to our problem here? Or the solution would be big buses in the city, or the solution would be trains? You are the analyst and expert. Tell me.
Okay, thank you very much, Omaru. And let me once again say thank you to everyone on the panel. The truth is that every city is organic and unique. And it is based on how the city wants to function that you design all these things around it. So you cannot pick a particular solution from one city or one country and then drop it into your city. Okay. We tried to do that with the BRT, which is Latin America experimented from Brazil through Colombia and all that. It is a very good system, but as to whether that will fit into Ghana, it's a different thing. But let me also be quick to state that the whole process for establishing this bus rapid transit and the transport reforms and stuff, I took part in it from 2007 through to the time when the ILO was established. So I do have some fair idea of what it is. Now, having said that, I want to state clearly that we need, first of all, to know, and I keep saying this over and over and over, we need to know the kind of city we want to develop. Once you have a fair idea of the kind of city you want to develop, all other things fit into it. The governance, the infrastructure, the transport, the health, education, they all fit into that one. It is one clear thing we have not done for our major cities. If we talk of London we know is a major city for the international financial market. When you talk of New York, we know that they determine prices of goods around the world and they shake the world. If you come to Africa, we know Johannesburg has its function it performs. When we come to Accra, what is the function of Accra? Except to say that we say Accra is the gateway to West Africa. So we must be very clear, first of all, a clear vision. And the vision will tell us the transport vision that we are looking at, public transport vision that we are looking at. Now, we need to be very clear, is it access that we want to enhance, or it is just the transportation that we are looking at? That is the movement of the buses and stuff. If it is access, then it includes walking, it includes sitting areas for people, it includes open spaces, It includes clear areas and all that. We need to be very, very clear. So for me, it's one of the key things we have not really answered. The matatus and all those things, they are all part of the system in Africa. But you cannot do matatus in Lagos, even though it has a different form in Lagos. So we must be very, very clear. Dakar is doing something fantastic. Dakar has moved to mass transit, which is also in our transport policy in Ghana, that the government is going to look at mass transit, move people en bloc, looking at the use of high occupancy vehicles, and then ensuring that there is dedicated lanes and all those things. That is how we want to go. If that is it, let us go that way.
Okay.
So for me, Omaro, my initial comment is every city is unique and it's organic.
And deal with it separately. On the specific issue of what we are seeing at the apparent or seeming shortage of minibuses on the streets, leading to the struggle of passengers and the unilateral increase of fares by drivers, how can we deal with that?
Okay, now we need to establish how this has happened, because it will be very difficult to say we are undoing. We need to do a gradual transformational process to do that one. Now, if you take cities, we can take lessons from some cities. If you take some cities, the inner peripheries of the inner perimeters of the city, they have decided to place what we call congestion charges just because they do not want to have major congestions in the city. We see that in London and other places. We see that in Lyon, in France, and all that. Now, the transport operators must be regulated. And please, let me state this clearly, that every system in the country, in the city, is owned by the city authorities or the government. So we must have we must have system owners. If somebody wants to fly into Accra, he might have his own aeroplane, but he must be registered with Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, and he must get clearances from Ghana Airport Company, and they must comply. So the system is owned by the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, and it is managed by Ghana Airport Companies. And that is the same approach that must be applied to public transport. The city authority has that system ownership authority, and they determine how they want to regulate, to register, to do that. So that if we are going to allow trotros, we are going to allow bicycles, we are going to allow motorcycles, we are going to allow tuk-tuks or three-wheelers, they must all be regulated until we establish the regulatory regime and procedure. We will just be doing lip service to things, and that is my take on that.
Should we buy buses and compete with the GPRTU as a state, or we should beg the GPRTU and say, we know there are challenges, but consider us? Or we should force them?
Okay, so three things. Should we buy buses? Should we allow GPRTU to operate the way they are operating? Or we should force them? These are three things. We cannot force GPRTU unless they are not regulated. And even when they are regulated, it's enforcement that must be put in place. Now, GPRTU came into the system from the early 80s. They have been there before, but because there was a gap in the public transport system, which would require maybe another day for us to discuss. Before GPRTU, there was the Omnibus Services Authority law, there was the Omnibus Services and all those things. Then there was a collapse somewhere in the late 70s because of the revolution, as well as also there was the infilling of the GPRTU. And then because of one or two reasons that are beyond our understanding now, even though we know, they filled in the gap and they performed their function. But we need to get them now to acknowledge the fact that there is a system owner. We are in a regime. There is a system owner. That system owner must guide and provide the way they must function. And they have to comply, or be encouraged to comply with it. Now, about government buying buses, that is the prerogative of government. But I think two regulations in the late 60s by the first revolution and then the second was in the Achampon regime, came up with two laws, and those two laws ensured that we moved from state control to deregulation, and we have been deregulating even through President Kufuor up till now. So if government wants to buy buses, I think it must follow a particular procedure. The format is there, and we can assist to look at the format. You know, government should not be directly involved in the provision of these services. Government can encourage, government can support, government can provide a necessary enabling environment.
Okay.
So that is what I think.
Thank you so much for speaking.
You're welcome.
That's Dr. Bernard Abeku Arthur. He's a public transport or an urban transport planning analyst. This is the big issue on 97.3 CTFM and on Channel 1 television. Your messages have been coming through. This one says, very laudable and good news about government's plans to provide passenger buses. This really demonstrates government's commitment to be answerable to the citizenry. I think the minority argument about LGBTQ should be taken with a pinch of salt. That's Jones Aduboy Inla. This message says, I think Richard should take political swipe from the conversation. This is a national issue that all hands should be on board to tackle. What the government should also know is that commuters don't enjoy sitting in big buses due to time constraints and duration to get to one's destination. You can send your message to 020-444-7033. 020-444-7033. That's a WhatsApp number, or 0543-989-699. You send your messages and I'll read them for you. This is Channel 1 Newsroom and also Channel 1 Television and 97.3 CTFM. The big issue is the program. Umaru Sandamado is the name. I am in studio with Professor Titus Beyo, why am I saying Beyo, of the NDC, Richard Ahiagba of the NPP, and Duncan Amwa of the Petroleum Consumers Sector. We'll be back to talk about Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng and why Richard Ahiagba and his party are trying to sack him when they need more numbers for election 2028.
In a world filled with challenges, we all need guidance, hope, and a lifeline to anchor us.
This is Lifeline, and I'm your host, Fred Crunchy Mensa.
For social issues, relationship challenges, and family matters, Lifeline is here to inspire, uplift, and guide you on your journey.
Where we give you support, where we hold your hand through the valley and through the thick and thins of life.
Join Bishop Fred Crunchy Mensa.
I welcome you especially to Lifeline.
Every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. right here on Channel 1 TV. Let's walk this path together, strengthen our faith, our families, and our lives. Lifeline, because every soul deserves a guiding light. Tune in to Lifeline on Channel 1 TV and let's grow together.
Welcome to The Point of View. This is your favorite current affairs show here on Channel 1 Television. On The Point of View, we pick the right topics, get the right guests, and ask them relevant questions on issues that matter to you.
With the complexities of the issues happening around us on a daily basis, it's the hard-hitting conversations and the probing questions of The Point of View.
So what is the Public Account Committee's job?
So what we do is to scrutinize, clarify, and find out why certain infractions have been made.
What do these IMF programs try to do?
The current program is for budget support.
Okay.
There are no projects attached.
That teases apart the twisted entanglements of politics and governance, as well as religious and social discourse. The Point of View brings you the policymakers and duty bearers and drills down to the very bottom of issue.
What authority do you have?
The Point of View airs every Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV. The Sweet Rose Secondary School Swesco Alumni Association invites all alumni to its annual all-year groups Thanksgiving and Remembrance service. There will be remembrance of the departed PACAs and also the launch of the 67th Speech and Prize Giving Day. The date, Sunday the 18th of January 2026. Time, it's 2 p.m. Venue, Cedar Mountain Assemblies of God Church, East Legon. Contact your year group president and register your attendance now. Semper Cum Optimus, always with the best.
Welcome to the Health Quarters Ghana, where medical science meets everyday life. Join Dr. Gideon Assan and the irrepressible Clemento Suarez as they tackle health issues.
My name is Dr. Gideon Assan. I have with me here my co-host, Clemento Suarez.
I knew how it felt anytime I started to feel the pain.
Whether it is hernia, breast cancer, cataract, or infertility, the show brings together victims to share their real life stories and experts to debunk myths.
If you wear cotton supporter, and there be a pampers and a benwa or bosom. So you see, instead of it being raw egg, I done it because you want to
Make a date with us every Sunday at 4 p.m. on Channel 1 TV. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and all social media platforms at Health Quarters Ghana.
You're welcome back. This is a big issue on 97.3 CTFM and on Channel 1 Television. I'm Umaru Sandawadu here with Professor Titus Bayo, NDC MP for Lambusie. There's no more Kani in your constituency, right? It's just Lambusie. Okay, and then Richard Ahiagba is Director of Communication of the NPP. And then Duncan Amwa is with COPEC, Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. I also have via Zoom, is it in Canada or US, Dr. Arthur Kennedy. Doc, you're welcome to the big issue.
Thank you, and greetings to your viewers. I live in the U.S. I've lived in Canada before, but I currently live in the U.S.
Oh, that's good. Are you in the state of Nevada or where? Because we are looking for two people, Sedina Tamaklo and Ken Oforiatta. They are both in detention. Which one are you close to that you can bring home for us?
America is an entire continent. I live in South Carolina.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Anyway, before I come to you, I want us to watch the video of Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng. He was on the point of view with Bernard Kokuavle. He described the NPP as fake, which has led to a number of things. Let's see that video.
The present NPP is not NPP, it's fake.
What?
Yeah. What I see now, it is not the NPP I used to know.
But the question still stands. Do you still consider yourself a member of the NPP?
Not the fake one.
So which one is the real one?
The real one is there. It's a virtual thing, and the members are there in the background.
You think that... I don't understand.
But look at how they elected their last flag bearer. You know, twist the arms of weak and...
This is for the 2024 election?
Yes. Twist people's arms, bribing delegates, and intimidating others to get a flag bearer. You know, this is the beginning of corruption, and this should not be allowed in any serious situation or any serious party. And there were issues. We lost the elections badly, and we did not deal with the issues that led to the losses. And then we still want to go in there, and I think it would be a train wreck if they elect the old flag bearer.
So your November article around how the NPP is proceeding suggests that you don't have confidence in the processes of electing a flag bearer?
No.
Really?
No.
Is your problem with the Dr. Bawumia or with the NPP?
No. Bawumia is a very nice person, but being nice alone is not enough to be to lead in Nkrumah's Ghana.
But he's not just a nice person. He's worked at the African Development Bank. He's been vice president for 8 years. He's an economist. So he's a professional.
Yes. But you see, the thing is that why do you think that economists are the people who create jobs and who create wealth? They are not the ones.
That's Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng speaking to Bernard Avle on their point of view on Channel 1 TV. Richard Ahiyagba, you speak for the New Patriotic Party. First of all, how important is Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng in the scheme of NPP things, and why are you planning to expel him? Because he's very big, isn't it important?
Absolutely.
He wanted to be flag bearer. He would have been your president, your leader, flag bearer, and
Absolutely.
If he had defeated Akufo-Addo and 16 others.
Absolutely. Prof. Boateng is an inherent part of the NPP administration I just went by. He was a minister, is a long-time member of the party, will continue to be in my imagination. The processes that, or the notice that you saw recently talking about his expulsion is a process that is yet to unfold. And so he, beyond the New Patriotic Party, he is a good citizen who has acquitted himself creditably in terms of his profession, has earned very good repute for this country. So he's an asset, a state asset. And to that extent, an asset for the NPP, which is a pride point. And so there cannot be any effort to remove him without cause. And I want to emphasize that, to remove him from the party without cause. And so there isn't any plan to remove him unless there is a reason to do so. So that's the answer to your question. Now,
so where's the but?
Is there a reason to want to remove anybody? Okay, so let me just do the connection. Now we have established he's an asset to the New Patriotic Party, to Ghana, and so therefore a big personality that we are proud as an NPP to embrace. But from the biggest asset of this country, who is a member of the New Patriotic Party, to the smallest asset or person in Ghana who is a citizen and therefore has some rights under our constitution, and a member of the New Patriotic Party, there's no discrimination as to how our laws, be it the constitution or any other laws, and in our party constitution applies to them as members of the party. There's no discrimination. So however big you are, however small you are, the rules and the provisions of our constitution applies to all the same. And I think that's the principle across every jurisdiction and across in our country. And so there can only be a reason why you ought to be removed. And if you have to be removed, it shouldn't be with reference to your stature. It should be with reference to what the reason is for which any process like that should.
Talking about reason, so his reason for saying that your party is fake, he has outlined that. He has explained that the current NPP leadership is not fit for purpose. As a member of an association, is he not allowed to criticize it, which is what he appears to have done?
Yes, but...
Or you don't accept, you're not tolerant of critics?
You can, except that as a party we have rules within which people should engage. Otherwise there'll be chaos. And so as a member, there's a burden that I carry, that Prof carried, that a new person who registered to be part of the NPP carries in terms of his conduct. And it's a duty that every member has. And key among that is a duty to protect or to promote and defend the good name of the party. Now, if you put that side by side, what the Prof has said, I am not going to pronounce judgment. It is only the disciplinary committee of a party that can reach that conclusion. But it falls short, on the face of it, of promoting and defending the good name of the party. To say that, I'm not even going to go to the question of the leadership fit for purpose or not, but to say that the party as we have it is fake is an indictment to a party that Professor Frimpong Boateng, with all his attainment, okay, would consider being part of a party that is fake, okay, and say so about his party, a party that has governed this country and has brought Ghana to where we are, I don't think that is proper for any group of people, okay, to have a situation like this. It's like President Mahama going out there and saying or bad-mouthing Ghana. As citizens will have to call him to order. There could be a basis to impeach him because he promised, he pledged, actually swore to uphold the Constitution. And so that's contrary to the provision of our party constitution that says that you as a member must be able to promote and defend the good of the party. Doesn't mean you can't criticize, but there's an environment within the party, within which you can then bring those criticisms to be addressed.
So where did he cross the line? Is it the word he used that made him cross the line, or because he made it public?
Yeah, yes. So there's an internal environment to address that matter. So including the party leadership is not fit for purpose. You can criticize that. There's an environment within the party.
So you should say it privately, not publicly.
No, not you can say no. Within that environment is public.
But you have 4 million party base, you claim. And
yes.
If he doesn't say it on the point of view with Bernard, how would those people hear that this is view?
Well, the people who are, of course, so you can look at the functional structure of the party. So from national all the way to polling station, those are the people tasked to deal with the concerns he has raised. With one, the party is fake. 2, the party leadership is not fit for purpose and all of that. There are people functional in the role to deal with that. So if, as a matter of making that point, it means that there is a certain way of doing things that people are not doing now. So that environment provides the space for him to then make that recommendation to say that I think that the leadership is not fit for purpose because A, they are not doing this, B, they are not doing that, C, they are not doing that. That internal environment will take it on and deal with it. The question that perhaps we must raise is that has Prof leveraged that environment? That internal.
So he didn't exhaust that.
Did he actually? Well, exhaust means that he has started and
he didn't even start.
So is there any evidence that he has tried that? Okay. Right, and then therefore was not given a hearing, and the only recourse he had was to come and say it there.
So now you are planning to sack him.
So it is not. So I'll get to that.
Yes.
But it is not to be viewed. And I've seen a lot of very important members of the party, and I'm sure Dr. Kennedy Atta Kennedy will engage the subject matter. And what I'm hearing from these notable members of our party saying is that, oh, you can't sack him if you sack him this. But the point is that you resort to chaos. The same situation Prof is complaining about. If you can't have discipline and anybody can say anything anyhow, what they are saying cannot obtain. Because if you think that big people are part of the party, and those people who says that, oh, Prof Boate, you can't are you happy for him to describe your party in public, okay, as fake party? Are you happy that you, a very reputed person, a very accomplished person, part of a fake party? You understand?
Well, you have to shake yourself so that everything...
So I'm saying that that is why the internal environment exists, to self-correct. You understand? To deal with it. Because if the NPP is supposed to be a perfect institution, we won't need any national leadership. We need a constituency, regional leadership, or police station. Well, naturally, things should be happening because we are naturally perfect. Okay, that cannot be. And so because we have people in role and they are fallible, and because people are fallible, you get to a point where we judge and build an environment that gives us the best output or the best projection we want the public to see. In that spirit, Prof had the opportunity to deal with this matter internally. But by not exhausting or dealing with this matter internally and going out there to kind of introduce that subject, it is contrary to our constitution. So any decision to deal with the comment in line with our constitution, it is not in any way, and I find it difficult if anybody says that because he has said that and it's contrary to our constitution, he should not be dealt with. We are creating chaos.
I see that you have a copy of your constitution
Yes.
there. So which article did Professor Frimpong Boateng breach by his utterances?
So specifically, if you go to Article 3 of our Constitution, which is membership, and I'm referring to 3.4a, it talks about a member shall have the duty at all times to, 1, promote and defend the good name of the party. 2, to protect the unity of the party. Now, also again, let me just read 4 of A, which says, abide by and publicly uphold the decision of the party. Now, on the issue of the leadership not fit for purpose, it is the decision of the party that has brought them there. You can criticize it within, but when you go out there and denounce them as though that they just impose themselves on the party, that is not abiding and upholding publicly the decision of the party. 2, to promote and defend the goodness of the party. What he said does not promote and defend the goodness of the party. And so if you are a party that wants to uphold the rule of law, which is what your constitution, I independently, voluntarily agree to be part of the NPP to adhere to this dictate, I must subject myself to the constitution and where I go when I go against it. So that cannot be selecting and targeting people. What? So those who are saying because you want to remove property, then you have to remove me too, they are not averting their minds to the constitution of the party, which they are proud of.
Well, when Bernard asked him, so which party is, where is the NPP? He said it is virtual.
Yeah.
Have you thought of the possibility that there are millions of people who think like Frimpong Boateng, who do not trust in the current leadership of the party, which leadership sent the party into an abysmal defeat or gave the party an abysmal defeat ever since you started recording your performance at the polls. And that these people do not trust in the leadership, and to the extent that they don't trust, whatever you're doing now is just for a select few, and that the larger majority party agree with Professor Frimpong Boateng. Have you done that introspection?
Yeah, well, I'll get to that. But you see, well, of course, I think just a small point. This thing is not, our defeat in 2024 is not abysmal like we have not seen before.
Oh, it's not worse than you've ever suffered?
No. Before 2024...
38%, sorry, 41%.
I know you are going to do that.
No, it was a mistake, 41%.
No, you know very well. But you see, before there was 2024, okay, before 2024, there was 2016, right, where it was unheard of that the NDC lost in such a manner. But today, the same NDC has come back and is in office with a margin appreciable, which then reflects that we have done abysmally. So there's tomorrow. And so therefore, the 42% that we've got, 41.7, and mathematically 42, it's not unprecedented.
Electorally 47, 41.
Yes, you understand. So that's where we are. But
margin of error is what, 3 or 2?
Well, this is unfortunate. That's not really margin of error.
Okay.
You know, so the bit about introspection, a vast number of people out there holding that view. And so therefore it presents a problem of the current management of the party. There's no qualms about that. But the problem is that
elsewhere you would all have resigned en bloc. In fact, when David Cameron resigned after failing the Brexit campaign, he and everybody.
But there's no law that says you must resign because
I don't think it's law. It's morality, maybe.
Morality
from
is not,
chairman who is absent. Actually, your chairman is absentee.
Yeah.
Your general secretary. Everybody should go, including you.
Well, I have no problem with that, but I'm just saying that it is not any standing order or any law. It's good conduct if you want to. But the point is, I'm coming. The point is that whether these matters are out there and people have concerns, okay, it does not give you the leverage to go
attack
out there and contravene the constitution.
So it's not nice, but don't say it's not nice.
No, you say it. I'm saying that there's an internal environment.
That's what he said.
No, we have, if you go to Article 3, I told you about, Article 4, which deals with discipline and grievance procedures. You have that opportunity to then petition or write to say that I have noticed that the party has become fake internally, and so therefore these are the reasons why I think it's become fake, and these are the things I think you must do to unfake it.
I'll come back so you explain to me why you want to remove him even though you have not written a letter to him.
Yeah, let me just conclude on that matter.
Okay. I wanted to come back to you. I wanted to give you the last bite. After, because all of these people, they will attack you. So I want
So the point should be made that Prof is not being targeted. Any effort that is underway following the issuance of the letter of the General Secretary is not a conclusive. It's not the letter. It's not saying we have dismissed you. It is an invitation that the process will be kickstarted, and that process is consistent with our Constitution, and it should apply to everyone, including myself. And I've made a point that certain things I'm not happy about, I can't say them. If I want to say them, I'll say it in the internal environment. But if I come here and I say them, I should be ready to subject myself to the discipline.
I'll say it. Tell me.
Well, it will be you that is saying, not me.
Okay. Dr. Atake, you have once chased the elephant into the bush, and I remember the fight you had with the NPP at the time. Does it sound familiar or too familiar?
It does, and my greetings to Mr. Ahiable. He did a valiant job in trying to defend the indefensible. You know, Professor Frimpong Boateng is a member of the NPP and subject to his rules, but he's also a Ghanaian citizen with rights. It will appear to me that our constitution guarantees freedom of expression. And I think that my brother Richard and a lot of other people kind of don't seem to be able to make up their minds as to whether a political party is a public institution or a private club subject to private rules. I think that Professor Frimpong Boateng was standing firmly on the rules and constitutional privileges that he enjoys as a citizen. And by the way, by way of comparison, if Professor Frimpong Boateng was a member of the British Labour Party or the American Democratic Party or a lot of parties around the world, his remarks will have been hailed. And not only that, looking at global standards, I watched the interview and I thought that 97% of it was excellent. It should have made every Ghanaian proud. It will make all of us wonder why we were not even drafting him as a presidential candidate. Now, I wouldn't have used the same language that the good professor used. But, you know, politics, people say things in the heat of the moment. I think, though, that we are drifting away from the fundamental points the good professor was raising. He was talking about the underlying reasons why we lost 2024, bad governance, the same people who led us to that abysmal position have repackaged themselves and are seeking higher offices elsewhere around the world. That is not how parties behave. Indeed, when Jimmy Carter lost the presidency in 1980, he was never invited to a national meeting of the Democratic Party. Why? Because he represented failure. Everybody knew that making him the face of the party going forward was not a good thing. I think that the other thing that Richard didn't address is what most of us call the party's inconsistency. If indeed the professor needs to answer for what he did, and I actually even think the process is dubious. He said the thing at 10 p.m. and by the next morning there was a statement. When did the National Executive for Leadership of the party meet to take a decision as to whether he should be referred to the disciplinary committee? The acting chairman of the party didn't seem to know anything about what was done. Not only that, even admitting without assuming that the prof is guilty, I think that people like Abronye and Honorable Kennedy Japan and many others that I can list, including my good self, have said critical things about the party and nothing has happened. Actually, when he said that the primary that got Dr. Bawumia the nomination was rigged, he was not the first person to say that. Honorable Kennedy Japan said that on TV. He talked about Wale Wale, where he said the chairman told him that you had 92 votes, but I put them in my pocket because I promised Dr. Bawumia will give him 100%. It's on tape. Why is it that we haven't heard anything being done about that? I think, and of course, if we are going to, in effect, discipline people who have done bad things against the party, what about the 1.2 million NPP members who went into the voting booths and voted for President Mahama? So those people, as Boacheja said, have resigned in their hearts. What are we going to do to them? I think, my brothers, that we need to have serious conversations about how perhaps the most vibrant political party in sub-Saharan Africa at one time, has become a shadow of itself. So when the professor says the NPP has become fake, I think maybe he is using inappropriate words to fundamentally underline the fact that we are on the wrong path. Elsewhere in the world, including the US here, the people who lead parties to great defeats and will not be lining up for another chance at getting bigger jobs. There is all these facile arguments about who led us to defeat and who was an Atlantic and who wasn't in charge of that. I have decided not to engage those things because I think the process is flawed. And Rahia Blue was dancing on the question about whether people who lead parties to defeat and others should resign. I tell people the story that in the Japanese tradition, when people do things very bad against their country or their party or whatever, they commit suicide. In China, they get executed. In Ghana, they line up for bigger jobs, So I think that the professor has put very fundamental things on the table. He's a national asset. He's a party asset. The important thing is to engage. That is what we do in politics, not to attack his person.
But Doc, the view is that there must be discipline. You cannot run an association where everybody can say just anything they want. That will lead to chaos and recklessness, and you do not encourage that. So you have to be firm, and that's why they are doing what they are doing.
So tell me about fairness. How is it that Haruna Iseku, who was on suspension, woke up then one day and he was party chairman, from suspension to being a party chairman? Why is it that Kennedy Japan described all NPP members as fools on the record and he's still there? Why is it that Abronye has said all the things he said and nobody has a problem with it? Why is it that Nanado, what do they call it, led one of the most discredited governments in our history and we haven't done anything? Why is it that he stood on a campaign platform and told Ashanti people that your Kokromoti belongs to you and you can do whatever you like with it, which was bringing the party into disrepute, and we haven't done anything? Why is it that Dr. Baumia wasn't even a party member and we could make him running mate when we had disqualified good standing MPP members for even running for members of parliament? So where is the consistency? Where is the discipline? If you can explain those things to me, I'm waiting.
If the party chairman were the party chairman is absent, maybe the acting party chairman or the general secretary were in front of you now, in the specific issue of Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, what would you say to them?
I just told you, if I was the general secretary, the morning after I saw that interview, I would have been in Professor Frimpong Boateng's house to engage him. The way that the MPP
so you go and pamper him?
Back, I didn't say pamper him, I said engage. I'm speaking English. There's a difference between pampering and engagement. And the reason I will do that is not because he's more important than anybody, but through him, I'll be sending a message to all the 1.2 million people who entered the polling booths and decided to vote for President Mahama, that you can come home, we value you. Because in addition to the 1.2 million people, come 2028, we'll be hoping that some NDC members will cross the carpet and join us. Without them, we're not going to win. Politics is about numbers. And the numbers should be coming to you, not going out.
So even if the numbers are bad, keep them, maintain them. Because now in 2015, the NPP thought that its chairman, Paul Afoko, its general secretary, Kwabena Japan, and its vice chair, Sami Krab, were engaging in anti-party activity. They kicked them out. They went ahead to win 2016. So there's perhaps some precedent that has been set. And if they think that this arm is not helping them, which is Professor Frimpong Boateng, cut that arm off and go with one arm in a sleeve and go and win the election in 2024. Good riddance to bad rubbish.
And that 2016 bargain with the devil will be devil-esque for generations. That is why we are where we are. Because those firings were not done with due process. They were cooked, they were manufactured. Afoko and Kwabena Japan had done nothing wrong. Their expulsions were vindictive and unprincipled. and that is the price we're still paying. I have listed a catalog of times when we didn't follow the rules and we were inconsistent. If we were going to be disciplined, then we should discipline people left, right, and center. I want to suggest that if we are in the mood to discipline, by now we should be calling Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo on the carpet for leading the government that he led. No cabinet reshuffle, corruption left, right, and center, arrogance everywhere. His ministers are now running helter-skelter, trying to avoid accountability. That is what the party should be doing. So
suspend Akufo-Addo or expel him.
I think he should be answering questions. Like Ahiabule said, I believe in due process. I do not want to presume that he's guilty, but it will be a very sanguine and what do they call restorative effect if the party can call to order those who have led us to this debacle instead of encouraging them to seek higher offices.
Okay. Doc, I'll come back to you if you could just stay with me. Richard Ahiagba, you've heard Dr. Athake there. Yeah. Has he qualified as a candidate for expulsion in the NPP based on what he has just said? Because clearly he's reminding you of what he calls inconsistency. He says you are engaging in picking and choosing. The NPP, which used to be very vibrant, is now a shadow of itself. He talks about the sudden communication of the plan to expel without the chairman's knowledge. He believes that Nana Akufo-Addo should be the one to be hauled to answer questions, for instance, if you really wanted to punish people for engaging in quote-unquote anti-party behavior. Would he be expelled?
Well, I don't know. I have to take some time to process what he said. But I think I agree with Doc largely in seeing that the New Patriotic Party is a very important political party in Ghana, and therefore its management requires that seriousness. But you see, it takes all of us to do it, and there cannot be any second guessing the fact that we're a human institution and therefore we're a work in progress. And all of our members, including himself and the good professor, must come to the table to help build the New Patriotic Party. And that's what the NDC did when it lost abysmally. Nobody thought the NDC had a chance of ever winning again. In fact, President Mahama, it was conclusive that there was no way he was going to come. And initially, when he started...
Until you came to give him a wonderful opportunity by messing up.
But naturally, it's a terminal election that he won. He didn't win 4 years after. Terminal election in Ghana, you've seen that this Fourth Republic, the 8-year cycle is there. So 8 years was a terminal election. And other factors, be it the international economic difficulty, played into it and therefore gave him the right to office. So it's not anything ingenious they have done. And I'm telling you that the record will show that when he lost in 2016, there was no chance. The NDC was seen as being in disarray. You remember Prof. Kwesi Botwe's report following their loss. The same thing, it plays out. But the key thing here we're saying is that the NPP needs all of its members. And I agree with Prof. Is a game.
So if you need all of its members, that should include Professor Batu.
Absolutely, absolutely. But then you have to balance that with discipline, because then what signal are you sending to the Ghanaian people that you will indulge behavior that is not acceptable in line with rule? Okay. And so that when you come to run the country, how would you run the country? You let your people break the rule and then you advance and then as if nothing has happened. So no, I agree, and I'm happy he makes the point that if he were speaking about that matter, he won't use that particular wording. And that's where all of us must begin to avert our minds to say that we have a party to run, and that party cannot be assumed to be perfect. Okay. It has people who are put there by the collective wisdom of the party to select them to run the party. Let's support them. The way what Prof. Barton said is not supporting the executive that he says is not fit for purpose. He needs to support them, working with the constitution to use the internal environment to suggest to them. He makes the point also about what Kennedy Japan may have told somebody on TV, that the chairman of Wale had maybe one of the constituencies in the Northeast have told him that he had the vote and his is in his pocket and all of that. You see, so that's why it's important. If he had petitioned that this is what I've heard, then there will be a hearing.
But
there will be a
petition
record.
for reform button. You took judicial notice of it.
No, I'm talking about a corrective measure in terms of ensuring that these matters are dealt with. So what
maybe
can
maybe you're afraid of Kennedy as a party.
No, but
he said Muye Jimmy for.
Yes, but you see, the point is
allowed him to stay.
The point is that you set a standard. The idea that the other people have said it and have not been disciplined, that's not my job. My job is to communicate what is done.
That's fine.
Other people have a responsibility to enforce that discipline.
I'll come back to you.
So the key thing I want to say is to agree with Doc and to invite him to help us to drive the party discipline that we must attain. It is why we have a constitution.
He's enjoying America. Please
but he's still an active member from what I see. He cares about the party, and because he cares about the party, he can't be reckless. He can't use those words. Okay. And so we invite all of us to try and do what we must do as members to help the party sustain, stabilize, and win power in 2028.
I'll come to you. People have also expelled people in your party in the past. I'll come to you, but before then, let me hear from Duncan. Duncan, if a member of COPEC had described you the way that you are fake, would you have tolerated him or sacked him? Which one would be your approach?
Sandra, the truth is, it has happened before. But you see, as organizations evolve, you take note of dissent, you take note of apathy, you take note of concerns. You also take note of sometimes acerbic attacks. And I always tell people that by virtue of the fact that we even have this platform to express ourselves, somebody would disagree with something you say, right? Their response may be way harsher than you expected. They can call you names. They can denigrate you. Sometimes even your own children at home, right? They would go to the extremes. But for those of us on the civil society front, the truth is that we would want an all-encompassing country that tolerates dissent, that tolerates criticisms, that tolerates concerns, or that tolerates even acerbic attacks sometimes. If you listen to the good old Professor Frimpong Boateng, just like many others in Ghana, might not just be the NPP people alone. There were several other Ghanaians who voted for the NPP, who are not members of NPP, who had a certain expectation of, normal things being done, right? They were not expecting us to start building Twin Towers, develop Ghana as though it were New York. A lot of them had been disappointed, especially by some of these policy inconsistencies like the haircut, right? You saw the former Karma person who sadly passed away, complained that the way he had led his life, going into retirement, he expected to be able to live a meaningful retirement. But his own money at some point to buy drugs, he couldn't get. Sadly, he passed on. So when you have people who went through a system that the system itself came down heavily on them, right? You do not expect these people to be charitable with their words, and they would never be. I have heard a lot of people who probably one way or the other were affected by the banking sector collapse. Some lost jobs. They could be NPP, they could be middle people or neutrals, they could be NDC people. They could be NPP people, but when they come to express that frustration and you don't listen carefully, you might think they are attacking the brand NPP. But people are carrying a lot of pain. And I suspect Professor Frimpong Boateng carries one such pain. Because if you recall his report on the Galamsey bit and the kind of responses he got, the pushbacks, the insults, the attacks. Look, I would be straight in reminding Richard and the broader NPP party. People like Abronye had said very vicious, you cannot even use the right words to describe the kind of attacks he unleashes on some of these people. We've not seen them either call to order, call to be sanctioned, or threats of, dismissal, like we saw with Professor. So it is beginning to look as though there's a certain establishment. Richard, this is for those of us sitting out there, okay, minding our trotro business. It will begin to seem as though there's a certain establishment. The establishment has people that it targets, right? So there's some selectivity. And then there are people that the establishment protects or fears. Like you rightly said, there have been several utterances, some very direct at the party, some direct at functionaries of the party, some direct at people who have been deemed to have sympathies for the party. Insults, very direct ones.
Naked insults.
Naked, nothing. And these people are never called to order nor sanctioned, either because they tilt towards one candidate or the other. Look, I saw some comments by, is this Ovestatete or something, on Adwoa Safo the other day on socials, and I cringed. It is politicking you're doing, but clearly when certain lines are crossed, especially on women, it becomes difficult. The party will keep silent about some of these things, right? And then when Professor Watson says that, well, the party he sees today doesn't look like the party he's known, because clearly probably he's been used to a certain type of party standard, yes. And suddenly it looks as though Animal Farm, did they say 4 legs good, 2 legs bad? So humans are bad, the animals were good. Forgetting that who was providing for them was the 2 legs. So I think that we will call for restraint, we will call for wider tolerance, right? Because when you are seeking to rebuild, some of your general membership expected that you would have gone through a process of healing, right? A process of closing your ranks, right? There was a government structure in place. Some of your people who clearly also felt betrayed or, not minded. Some were businessmen who had contributed to get the party in power in 2016. They were left, unattended to, their businesses were collapsed. Richard, you should have closed those ranks, made efforts to close them before foisting even this presidential primary on them.
So time.
Wait. I'm saying
we've closed on that conversation. And that's not really.
We haven't.
They say they moved past it. No. They say you are late.
No, you see, Sandra.
We are going to election 31st January, whether you like it or not.
No, we'll go.
I won't have time to respond.
No, Richard. If you listen to me carefully, what I'm saying is this. People will carry varying degrees of pain,
No, I
right?
agree. There's no
for one thing or the other done to them, or how they've been subjected to something.
And it take time to heal.
But
it will take them.
Not subject anybody to anything.
The party.
They are two different.
The party produced the government.
But then
the government did not emerge from, Pluto. It was the party that birthed the government.
Did not run
the same way, if the NDC party today...
the party did not run the government. The party's general secretary
sits in your cabinet.
So he discussed political issue, not the governance. The issue
is a bridge between the party and government.
Are you trying to say that it's the party that determines government points?
Yes.
No.
Exactly.
No.
Your manifesto drives the government.
Hold on. The point you are making, I want you to appreciate the nuance in there. There's the party and there's the government.
So the party was offered in its own government.
Okay. Rich, if you had let me land it.
Please land for me. I'll land quickly.
But I just want you to make the two as
all I was
separate.
expressing is this. Accept that in the course of governance, in the course of your mandate, even your own people, right? A lot of them would have been, affected negatively one way or the other. And you cannot gag these people from expressing that pain, right? So like Dr. Akhtar Kennedy said, if he had a chance, the moment he heard some of these, statements, it would have been proper to just go to the man and say, oh, Prof, whatever we have done, forgive. Whatever we have not done.
Treat him with kid gloves?
No, treat him with some care.
Who is he?
With
Why should he be treated like that?
Because he is one of the numbers you need for the 50 plus
only
one.
Only one time.
No, the plus one. He is the plus one, probably. Okay. So treat everybody as though they are the plus one.
Okay.
Right? That way, if he has others like him, and they see that the party is being reconciled. You opened a window recently for people to come back, the amnesty. So one would have expected a general higher tolerance at this point than being high-handed in the approach to say that, look, once you cross the party discipline,
you are going.
Yes, you are being.
Thank you, Duncan.
You can do better. That's what I'm saying. You can do better, Richard.
Yeah,
if you were the NDC and you were going through...
But he didn't have to talk about this.
Why not? It's interesting. He will advise on how to fix your party. Right now, they are holy.
Yes. So I would say that, of course, we are interested parties and interested observers. We are, of course,
happy they are breaking down.
We are, of course, guarded by the dictum of our former president, Dufiasem. So we won't go too much into it, except that we are observing with keen interest. And Ghana doesn't want to be a one-party state. We want to have a credible opposition, to put government on its toes, to ensure that there is proper governance and provide alternatives that can shape how government goes. But it's interesting. I should say that Professor Frimpong Boateng, as a medical person, he has been my teacher, and I respect him so much. I hold him in very high respect, politics aside, everything aside. And I'm not surprised. He's been someone who, right from his academic freedom, would always want to express exactly how he feels. You may have a different opinion on how he should have said it, what he should have said, but when he's convinced of something, in fact, the level of conviction that it took him to establish the National Cardiothoracic Center against all sorts of opposition, you can go read his books, and then you know the kind of person he is. Not too long ago, when I was appointed board chair of Kolebu, I went for one of his books, the Taming the Monster, and read. I mean, when we were having a discussion on the transportation, it just came to mind. He described vividly in 1923 how chiefs from Ashanti, from Easton, came by train to the grand opening of Kolebu.
Wow.
Today, can anybody come from by train? That's
Even
how
by,
bad.
by road they can.
That's how bad we have come as a nation several years along. But just to say that this is a very respected person in the medical community, in national life, and in all of that.
But the point is that should we hide behind respected member, accolades, and not discipline him for going rogue?
That is their own issue. But remember, when you are doing discipline, like Dr. Arthur Kennedy said, you must be seen to be fair and apply the rule to everybody. I'm not going to sit here to determine who it should be applied to, who it should not be applied to. But if you can take judicial notice of somebody's comment on a public platform and not take the same notice of others, it creates a certain perception. And people would want to express their opinion. So eventually you may end up doing what is right in your law, but because it's not been applied by the same standard to others, people will question it. So in the execution of justice, you want to make sure that whatever template you are setting is such that it's fair to everybody. And so sometimes you may see something you want to act, but because you didn't act on A, you are restrained. Because if you act now on B, what will be the interpretation? So sometimes people draw a line. Where do we start from? And someone could say, let's go the reconciliatory route. After truth and reconciliation as a party, let's heal. After all of that, then we can then, starting from this day, if you do A, B, C, D, we will do that after we have reorganized and restructured. But, well, it's their own decisions. I'm not going to give them any advice, whether it is the virtual NPP or the real NPP. I'm not sure which one.
Please, there's no virtual NPP.
I don't know which one. I don't know which one Richard communicates for. Maybe the virtual one.
You see why there's a need for discipline?
So that deal with people like elements like this.
People are creating the impression there's a virtual one.
At this point, you should deal with it.
Expel him from the party.
So, there is something that is running true that we need to be careful of. I mean, you see Richard, a very seasoned communicator, trying to distinguish the party from the government. And it was just bringing some memories of like, this same line of communication led the vice president to try to dissociate himself from the government that he was part of, tried to dissociate himself from policies. No, I'm just reminding you a few things. I mean, leader of our economic management team, dissociate himself from the economy. But this tells you that, I mean, it might be a very difficult job for him to do. And at this point in time, I really empathize with him. He's doing a very difficult job, like Arthur Kennedy said, defending the indefensible. But we wish him well in all of that. My point I just want to correct, before we would have dovetailed into all of this, is that his earlier submissions and everything that has happened should be judged in the light of his current submissions. I mean, if someone could tell us that we deliberately create this current traffic mess so that we can solve it and claim glory, then you ask yourself, what is the basis? Did we go to take away?
Nobody said, it was a suggestion to
did we go to take away the buses? Did we go tell the drivers to park their buses so that people will be in a queue? I mean, it defies all manner of understanding. But I'm not surprised. All that I'll say is that I wish them well. Are you sure? Oh, I wish them well. Genuinely, I wish them well. That I know NPP will not die. It cannot die.
But it can limp.
Oh, I mean, it should limp around elections so that we will win with a decisive majority and then they'll reorganize and come again.
The elephant yes.
We want them around, but we don't want them strong enough to be able to win an election because the memories of the bad governance that they led this country to is so fresh on our minds. Ghanaians need a credible government like what we have to put us on a better track. We need enough time to reset this country. And so maybe they need more time to reset their own party. And they should take time to reset the party. And it's not done by issuing dismissal letters here and there or warning people here and there when others are doing the same thing and going scot-free. Okay. They should take their time to reorganize. Okay. While all that is going on, we are focused on resetting the country. And let me put it clearly, that as far as the NDC is concerned, we know our fortunes in 2028 is not dependent on NPP. Whether they sack Frimpong Boateng, whether they sack Akufo-Addo, whether they sack, that doesn't determine our fortune. Okay. Our fortune is determined by how much we keep to our promise to the people, our reset agenda, the economy that the people are seeing. That is what will determine our fortune, and we are committed to that.
Let me go to Franklin. Franklin Kojo, you run a think tank, Imani Africa. You have managed human beings. Managing human beings is difficult, and it appears that's what the NPP is going through. And they're saying that this particular human being, he's crossed the board or the line, and he has to go. Is that fair justification in terms of what's happening between the NPP and Professor Frimpong Boateng?
Well, a part of me feels that, look, every organization has got rules, right? And then once you've got rules, you've got to respect the rules. You've got to basically go through a process. Even if somebody's infracted the rules, you've got to go through a process in order to, should I call it, and ensure that what we probably call democratic centralism, right? So to that extent, I could understand, I can understand Richard to the extent that, okay, look, we have rules and all of that. But we are talking about people who, as we've been saying so far, these are persons who have been at the leadership position of the party before. And they've seen the carnage of leadership, basically, that was visited not just on the party, but on the country. And so they begin to ask questions. Why is it that people who were clearly complicit in wasting our time, wasting our resources, actually pillaging resources and plundering this country into the...
That's too harsh. That's too harsh. That's too harsh.
Hold on. Hold on. Plundering this country into the junk-rated economy. What is harsh about it? They didn't care to a junk-rated economy. What are you talking about?
You can pay for them. Apologize to Ghanaians.
Oh no, I don't. It's not about campaigning for them. Listen, the issue is not about campaigning for them. The issue is about sympathizing with people who have serious ideas at the time. Look, I thought anyway. Don't derail me because that's what we're talking about. Look, so
yes,
and I feel strongly that if somebody like Frimpong Boateng has come out to say, look, even within government, I was commissioned to look into a very serious matter like Galamsey. You know, eventually, what did Galamsey let them out? Galamsey was part of the reasons why they kicked out, right? And if the things he said, if the foundations, if the results he found were properly discussed and not just said, which unfortunately became the hallmark of Nanado, I think some seriousness would have been attached to some of these complaints, and then somehow we'll never probably have this level of how do you call it, whatever elections, the margin by which they lost. I'm just trying to tell you that the indiscipline, which Frimpong Boateng talks about, is actually from the center. You know, so you look at some of the decisions they took while back in office, just too much indiscipline, and so to the extent that this man now feels that, look, even the people who are claiming to be part of the process are indisciplined. What is this that you are trying to do? I don't even want to come up with the other accusations about people who have said worse things. But this is a gentleman who says, look, I don't think this party is anything. It's not a real party, that is fake. Well, you should go and ask him, why exactly does he think it's fake? And I think he provided answers, right? Maybe the word fake is too harsh. But look, it takes a certain level of how do you call it, humility and candor to accept that, look, the thing, and I don't think Proud is just talking about the party, he's talking about the country. And I think that's a distinguishing part people do not realize.
But Franklin, I've heard him in other interviews subsequent where he said he won't even go and respond to the next invitation to come and say nothing. In fact, when they said he said they rather have to be sacked and that he's not going anywhere. It sounded very confrontational. Can you do that in a corporate organization like the one that he belongs to?
Well, it tells you that all levels of respect and candor are broken down, which is exactly the point I'm trying to make, that if you witness some of these things from close quarters, that's what is happening here. Even the people I respected don't even care two hoots about whatever we are saying or whatever we are doing. Then come back to the grounds, you come back to the middle and the lower levels, people are just talking bad. Richard is a fine gentleman. When I hear Richard talking about making noise, like there are two regional ministers, regional chair. I can't stand those people. Anytime they speak, I think the party loses a lot more people immediately they speak.
Who and who?
I'm sure you know the people I'm talking about. I mean, look, what's it called? He's the Ashanti region guy, and then the other guy from the Western or whatever.
So they should be
sacked. The guys just don't communicate. They don't communicate sensibly. I'm sorry.
Oh.
And you can't, Richard, you can't be part of a group that I don't know what you do. Don't you have a template for communications? Maybe my own Dennis Mirakabaji that I used to really hold in high esteem. During the election, he was just either lying or completely just insulting everybody. You don't build a party by doing that. You don't convince people by doing. So look, these things that we are talking about, I think it's important that we take a critical look what has happened to the party, and then make sure. I'm not saying they should weed out all those people, but it's important to sit them down. And I wish Jake was alive. They would have probably been taken to a proper school to understand that, look, the NPP party, central centrist in terms of thinking, center, what's it called?
Center right.
Center right, which maybe, but that's why sometimes people say that, some of us demanding we are NPP. Well, of course, we lean towards the central right thinking. But unfortunately, there's no way, what they're doing, obviously, is entirely different. But you see, if we had that type of respectable people who would just shepherd all these messages, I don't think we get to this extent.
So the party lacks leadership. So you're saying, they don't do it. Frankly, you're saying that the NPP currently lacks leadership. That's why you're remembering Jacob Tanka Obeche Bilamte.
Oh, it's an acephalous society right now. That's headless. It's a headless society. Sure. Frankly, I don't even know who will listen.
They have an acting chairman, general secretary, everybody. Are saying they have nothing. The center is not holding.
Let's look at the things they write. Look at anytime something happens, look at the threads of communications.
Oh.
And by the way, Richard typically does not play in that league. Like, look at the people who talk. Even if they go and write some, you read the thing, I don't even understand. So I'm like, is is this on school club or that has gone wild?
Frankly, it's okay. It's okay. They'll expel you. They'll expel you. They'll expel you from the center right.
I'm not. I don't remember that part. What I'm trying to say is that it pains me because we want to see competitive ideas being fought to leave the country. But look, the NPP should realize that. So, as we speak right now, you see, it's not 2016, 2017. It's not the same as this year, right? 2020, 2022. They had committed several infractions, very, very huge infractions, far beyond what John Mahama did, right? Come on, who gave us a junk return? Who took us to the army? Who gave us a haircut? Who said I'll not go to the army? And then actually lying through the teeth, I will not go. Then you went. Come and account to you say, you said
Ejofwe.
He's a brave coward. He's a brave coward.
No, that's what we are going to talk about next. So I would want you to stay on for me. Dr. Atake, do I still have you?
Yes.
I'll come back to you because I want us to come to the United States of America. The Sedina Tamaklo issue, she's going to be brought down. Well, I don't know whether she'll be brought down or not. Ken Ofureta has been arrested. Sedna has been arrested. We'll talk about how that can be dealt with, but I'll also give Richard the final concluding remarks on Professor Frimpong Boateng. But let me just take this quick break and then we'll return to talk about that. This is a big issue. We'll be back.
Welcome to The Point of View. This is your favorite current affairs show here on Channel 1 Television. On The Point of View, we pick the right topics, get the right guests, and ask them relevant questions on issues that matter to you.
With the complexities of the issues happening around us on a daily basis, it's the hard-hitting conversations and the probing questions of The Point of View.
So what is the Public Account Committee's job?
So what we do is to scrutinize, clarify, and find out why certain infractions have been made.
What do these IMF programs try to do?
The current program is for budget support.
Okay.
There are no projects attached.
That teases apart the twisted entanglements of politics and governance, as well as religious and social discourse. The Point of View brings you the policymakers and duty bearers and drills down to the very bottom of issue.
What authority do you have?
The Point of View airs every Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV. Hundreds of entries have poured in from communities all across the country, and the energy is off the charts. The quest to uncover the most deserving stories has kicked into high gear. Stay tuned for the thrilling reveal and the grand celebration of our esteemed 10 Channel 1 TV community legends, only on Channel 1 TV. The Sweetroot Secondary School Swesco Alumni Association invites all alumni to its annual all-year groups Thanksgiving and Remembrance Service. There will be remembrance of the departed PACAs and also the launch of the 67th Speech and Prize Giving Day. The date, Sunday the 18th of January 2026. Time, it's 2 p.m. Venue, Cedar Mountain Assemblies of God Church, East Legon. Contact your year group president and register your attendance now. Semper Cum Optimus, always with the best.
Welcome to the Health Quarters Ghana, where medical science meets everyday life. Join Dr. Gideon Assan and the irrepressible Clemento Suarez as they tackle health issues.
My name is Dr. Gideon Assan. I have with me here my co-host, Clemento Suarez.
I knew how it felt anytime I started to feel the pain.
Whether it is hernia, breast cancer, cataract, or infertility, the show brings together victims to share their real life stories and experts to debunk myths.
If you wear cotton supporter, and there be a pampers and a benwa or bosom. So you see, instead of it being raw egg, I done it because you are
Make a date with us every Sunday at 4 p.m. on Channel 1 TV. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and all social media platforms at Health Quarters Ghana.
You're welcome back. This is a big issue on 97.3 CTFM and on Channel 1 television. We are talking about the big stories of the week. This is the conversation you should follow every weekend where we do the analysis of the big stories for you. We've talked about a number of issues. We're still talking about the New Patriotic Party. And it appears our conversation, even though it started with Professor Frimpong Boateng, we're also talking about the state of the NPP generally and other things that are happening. I have Richard Ahiagba. He is the chief spokesperson of the New Patriotic Party in studio, and I must say that there have been a lot of spears thrown his way. I don't know if he's going to survive tonight today. But Richard, there are hard truths being told you. Franklin Kujo, for instance, threw a lot of things at you. He says did he say school boys club or something like that? I mean, if he was a member of your party, clearly you sacked him, but he's an outsider and he can say these things to you. Perhaps you haven't done enough healing before you decided to proceed. Maybe that could be the view. Maybe you should allow people to vent. You've lost an election, let people cry, insult, and later on you can reconverge and go for it. Do you think that's...
Yeah, Omar, all these things are happening concurrently. And the internal environment, you hear a lot of these things. People are giving space to vent and to say what they have to say. But also saying so is to say that we have collective responsibility as a member of the party. Venting is one thing, but if you are venting at yourself, who then are you venting at or about? Because we all take collective responsibility for the success and, if you like, failure of the New Patriotic Party. That's why it's a voluntary membership, okay? We reserve the right to be part of the organization, subject to adhering to its rule. But one thing I've heard from Franklin's presentation and before him from Dr. Kennedy's submission is the idea that the approach to Professor Frimpong Boateng's comment could have been a bit refined. And I agree, and I take that on board fully. Given the chance, that approach will be different. But it's such that we needn't issue a letter. The disciplinary committee of our party can be activated to invite him and his comment put to him and say, in line with the Constitution, you know you have crossed the line. You understand? And the discipline can take place over there. It's not everything that we have to issue letters about. That, I agree, won't be my MO, but that's what we have. But now that is taken on board. It doesn't take away from the magnitude and the impact of the comment. And I'm happy also from Franklin's submission, he said that he won't use that word to describe the same thing or any discomfort or dissatisfaction he has about the party. Dr. Kennedy said the same thing. So it seems that there's a convergence on the matter that what he says is a bit, the
language or the approach.
The way, what he said, though he may have reasons to say it, saying it the way he said it is not acceptable, and so therefore elicit the discipline that ought to be done. I take on board their suggestion and assume that going forward those things will be applied, that we deal with these matters discreetly. On the issue of other people having said that, I think Franklin was mentioning about Abronye specifically, is what he's taken, Chairman owned to me and all of that. There's been actions, I think there's a disciplinary action that is brought, I think, still with a committee relative to Abronye, I know. So the party is not picking and choosing at all. Now, the extent to which...
But the party is being swift with Frimpong Boateng and slow with the other two.
Yeah, so that can be improved. But I'm saying that even that, if no letters were issued, that disciplinary measure would have carried on without the public knowing. And I think that going forward, that's the feedback I get from Dr. Takeredi and the others who have made comments, to say that not everything, we, the party ourselves, there's not everything we have to make public. These are internal disciplinary issues. We don't have to issue a letter about this.
Do you
but
think,
let's do the discipline.
Do you think your General Secretary's statement should not have been, there should have been no statement on Professor Frimpong Boateng?
I won't go as far as to say that, but I will say that the approach Dr. Kennedy is saying, engage, is good, but then we can activate the disciplinary procedure in our party without necessarily announcing
Hearing
it.
everything you've heard so far, would you say the approach is a bit heavy-handed from the party side, and that given another opportunity, you wouldn't go the route you are going?
No, the approach is constitutional.
And you stand by it?
Yes, it's constitutional.
Okay.
So
let me
nothing has been heavy-handed.
Very well.
The only thing people are saying is that the letter that's been issued announcing that I agree that but these are internal matters. Let's deal with it internally.
Okay.
If that has been done, I don't think that it will elicit all this public conversation.
Let me go back and conclude, Dr. Asake. Dr. Asake, I don't know if there's anything you want to respond to specifically in there, but of course, he says you agree, and many other also people agree that you can vent, but it does not mean you should use the kind of language that Professor Frimpong Boateng used. So perhaps there's a true proverb that when you advise a cat, you also advise a fish. In this instance, what should be the advice to the fish being Professor Frimpong Boateng? While you have already advised the party on what to do, what should Professor Frimpong Boateng and people who think like him also do? And while we do that, and I want us to also delve into the government's, what should be happening with Ken Ofori-Atta and Sedina Tamaklo.
So I don't know whether Richard is aware, but I actually have already been involved in trying to calm the waters. I've been in touch with Professor Frimpong Boateng a number of times. I've also communicated with the General Secretary. But I commend Richard. His comments have been salutary and reasonable. I think, though, that he misreads what I'm saying when he says, or maybe we shouldn't have issued the statement. My point is that our first inclination should not have been to reach for the disciplinary hammer. I think that our approach should have been reconciliation first. And part of why, and I can reveal that here, part of why Prof has been angered is that two things happened that made him very upset. First, the General Secretary's approach, because a lot of people didn't notice the General Secretary was on air and he insinuated that maybe Prof may have been influenced monetarily by the NDC to destabilize the NPP. Professor Frimpong Boateng deserves better than that. I mean, those who think Nada and Ken Ofori-Atta and Bawumia are not corrupt should not be insinuating that Frimpong Boateng is corrupt. And then secondly, it's a national executive, and Alaji, I don't want to mispronounce his name, who was on air a few days ago, personally insulting Professor Frimpong Boateng. We, as national officers of a political party, need to watch our conduct, and I have stated on the record, I told him too, about Frimpong Boateng, that I agree with the sentiments he's expressing, but I wish his language had been a little different because it took attention from what he was saying. But having said all that, we are in a very difficult place. We should be reconciliated so that we can bring back the 1.2 million people who went to vote for John Mahama. We should tone it down, and our party should be consistent in discipline. The party that hasn't done anything to Abronye and Kennedy Japan and Wontumi and all those who led us to defeat should not all of a sudden be reaching for disciplinary kuyels when it comes to people like Frimpong Boateng who are saying things that most people agree with.
On the issue of Sedina Tamaklo, the process was initiated by the last administration to bring her home. And now we are hearing she's in detention. Similar thing, Ken Ofori-Atta, this government initiated the process, but that's not the reason he's in detention for. Should the NDC government be commended? Okay, not commended yet, but do you trust that the NDC government would continue with the process of extraditing Sedina Tamaklo? And would it be as swift as it intends to do with Ken Ofori-Atta?
I expect it to be swift. Of course, we should always distinguish between Mr. Maklo, who has been convicted, and Ken, who is yet to be tried. But having said that, I have communicated this privately and publicly. I think that the anti-corruption fight is too slow. I think that it should be faster. I think that we focus too much on retrospective corruption fights. We should be doing preventive fights, and our fights are too partisan. There were too many nolle prosequis for NDC people who had done bad things, but basically the anti-corruption fight should be elevated and it should be speeded up, and we need to get some big fish. So on that, I say, Mr. President, more grease to your elbows, but the fight must be non-partisan.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we really appreciate you for the time. Are you going to write another book, by the way? The last time you wrote a book, it was a banger, Chasing the Elephant to the Bush. Your party has gone into opposition for 1 year, and I haven't seen your book. Should we expect something from you?
Not on the party going into opposition, because I wasn't an insider and I have commented significantly on why we got there. But having said that, I actually think that the problems of the NPP now underline national problems. I think that our political parties need to be demonetized and democratized, and they need to become more transparent. And that is a bipartisan problem. We need to give ownership of our parties to the masses instead of to a few elites who believe that the parties are private clubs. And I'm thinking of how best to communicate that to the nation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Arthur Kwabena Kennedy. He tried to be flag bearer of the NPP in the past, a member of the New Patriotic Party, speaking to us there. This is the big issue. Let me get a comment from Franklin Kujo also before we go on this subject. Franklin, Sedina Tamaklo detained upon a request by the government, even though it was a previous administration, based on the letter we've seen from Ambassador Victor Smith. And then Ken Oforiatta, we still don't know what the situation is. I interviewed Ambassador Victor Smith yesterday. He said he was not allowed access to him, so we don't really know. Do you trust that this government would deal with the two issues in a similar manner?
Well, I think it should just be fair for the NDC to do so. I have a strong feeling that the Oforiatta issues actually led to the fast tracking of the Sedina Tamaklo thing, because frankly speaking, I'm sure, I think that's what really happened. Otherwise, that was like a dormant issue, and probably the Americans were not probably that interested. But now that it came up, I'm sure they've been hearing, they've been monitoring, they've been listening, and say, but this is one too. So that's what I suspect that happened. I think that it behoves the NDC to responsibly deal with the matters without any favors, without any. I guess that's what they should do. Otherwise, people complain. Again, you don't want to walk into the trap. My good friend Ken seems to be setting for the country. I feel strongly like that gentleman I held in high esteem would allow his minions who are going through the same process, and then he says he'll be persecuted, so you won't come. That's bravery in cowardice, and I don't think we should be encouraging things like that. And again, I say that his lawyers, his local lawyers, they were the ones who landed him in this trouble. If this gentleman had come quietly without insulting the OSP, treating him like some debt, this matter would have not. If he wouldn't have been listed in the Interpol list in the first place. Now look at where you ended up. ICE. Look at what they are doing to ICE people. He's even lucky that they didn't. He's lucky they just went and picked him. You know, the way that ICE people are beating people up. You know, so I'm like, so seriously speaking, the NDC government should continue, and I think it is important that this whole idea of responsibility, accountability, it should not be just one way. It has to be both ways. Okay. And I also agree that my good friend, the Attorney General, shouldn't have started with this nolle prosequity, 60%, 40%. That was a very bad thing to start off. Okay. Very, very bad. So I don't have confidence in the rest of the cases. But anyway, That's the way it is.
Okay. Thank you so much. Professor Biwio, your party says you are coming to fight corruption. There were many people who were saying, start with bringing Sedina Tamaklo home first so that she'll come and face justice. Now she has been arrested upon a request by the government in the past. Eyes are watching. How is the NDC government going to act? Everybody's interested because you seem to be very active in looking for Ken Ofori-Atta. Can we trust you to have the same kind of energy?
Yeah, I think we have demonstrated in the past, and our present leader has demonstrated it before, that he's one who is not a clearing agent. Unlike others, he's willing to punish his own appointees if they fall below the bar. This he has mentioned on unambiguous terms, and I can remember that he even recited the Akan proverb that Abaya debo techino and Nana debo ba, meaning that, and he told his appointees every time that he's not going to shield anybody. And so I'm not surprised that the Attorney General is making effort to bring Sedinam down, as well as to bring Ken Ofori-Atta down. We do know that the people of Ghana are angry and expectant of some effort and results. In fact, not just effort, they want results, tangible results in aura. It was one of the pillars on which we won this election. People want to see people who have looted the country. If we claim so, and it is so, they want to see evidence. They want to see people punished. They want to see people pay for their deeds. You see, the defeat of the NPP in the last election is a lesson to every young politician and everybody who seeks to govern this country or lead this country in any form, that you'll be held accountable at the ballot box for your collective actions as a party. But the next step is that people must be held individually responsible for decisions they took. And that's the next step, that if we fail, then there will be no hope in this democracy. Because then what it will mean is that when we are angry, we just go and vote and change the government. The next government comes and do worse. They go and change them. And how many times will we go through that? But if people realize that individually you'll be held responsible, then people will be careful. I mean, didn't people like Abuga Pele go into jail under Mohammed's administration? Was he not a president? Hasn't it happened before? And he said it clearly. So I don't think that if the person who has done something before tells you that I will do it, you should have doubts. And you've seen that the Attorney General didn't go selective. If he had gone for, made all the noise about Ken Ofori-Atta and nothing's happening about Sedinam, then we'll be talking. But we can see that deliberate effort to get all of them to come down to face justice. One thing I have noticed about our learned Attorney General is that he works so much more, and a lot of things he doesn't talk about them. Occasionally he makes a press conference, people are like, why don't you go to the court instead of making the press conference? The efforts done concerning Sedinam, concerning Ken Ofori-Atta, a lot of it was in silence until they had gotten substantive information before they came public. And if you check the last time they came public because communicators and lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta were trying to throw dust into the entire nation's eyes. Oh, it's just an immigration issue. It's just that his visa has expired and therefore it's a normal process. And that has been their line of communication. When truly the man's visa was revoked. Why were you pretending and telling everybody a lie on this? You know, ICE picked up the guy and they wish they could present it differently. So then he had to come out and set the record straight. So I just want to say that I have absolute confidence that everything will be done diplomatically. The Foreign Affairs Minister is engaging. Our ambassador in the US is engaging. The Attorney General is engaging to make sure that these people are brought, just to send a signal that you can't mess up as a nation and run somewhere. And to quote the words of my leader in Parliament, we are calling on Zacchaeus to come down and from the sycamore tree.
But the man is not short.
We are using biblical metaphors. He should come down and today is judgment day.
Zacchaeus wasn't wearing white.
And face judgment. But the signal that is being sent is what should also inform all of us in present leadership and anybody who has passed into public space, that you will be held accountable.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if you are a citizen somewhere or you have property somewhere. They can run and go and hide. That we can punish the people here. You see, there's a thing about being here. Being here, even before you are sentenced or you are tried and judged, the Ghanaian public, the media, you, Omar, and go, each day they are judging your conscience. They are picking your conscience on what you have done. If Ken was here following all these discussions from the time OSP and all of that, there would have been enough introspection. But when you are out there, you probably don't be following. You have the option to follow what's happening in the media here. At least come and face it and let people know that you cannot do things and run somewhere. I think I trust the Attorney General.
Okay.
He will be fair to all. And my advice to our leadership in government, especially those in the judicial, the justice space, Attorney General, his deputy, and everybody in that region, is that ORA is one of the pillars on which we came to power. We must execute it to the best of our ability. Let's recover as much. Let's punish those that deserve to be punished. If we fall below the line, let ourselves subject ourselves to the law so that people can have trust in this democracy that we are practicing.
Richard, there are people who say that Ken's absence is a dent on the reputation and image of the NPP as an entire machinery, that the man who was in charge of the national pairs has, quote and unquote, run away. In fact, let me remove the quotes and say that OSP said he has run away, he's a fugitive of justice. Should you not help bring him back as a party? Because like the embarrassment is touching you too, or you don't think that it's an issue that you should take as a party?
Well, thank you, Umaru. I thought that you were going to talk about this rather difficult issue in our country where we are forced now to imagine what gender means.
No, we'll get there.
We'll get there. You sure? Because I don't think you have time.
No, we have time. If you don't.
Okay.
But you're deliberately ignoring.
No. Okay. So I just want to be sure that we have time.
We'll talk about it.
Because right now, if I ask you what gender is, you have an answer, right? But now
Richard,
we're put in a
what
space
is Ken for after?
No, we'll talk about Ken. Ken is, on one hand, an individual now, because we're not in government. He's an individual, a member of our party. He has not broken any law, as you would attest to. There's a need for him to come and answer questions. What we know to be the difficulty is that he is not in good health. Evidence of that has been adduced. Now, government want to proceed against him with some charges. And the idea is that you can still advance all those without necessarily having him here. Even though Madame Sednab Tamaklo was here when the actions were commenced against her, she was not here when the process terminated, but it terminated nonetheless. There's been reasonable arguments made that proceed. Ken is not stopping anything in terms of legal processes against him. And so I don't see why there is any hesitation or there is any hue and cry about Ken is not in the country. You can deal with the matter. So the question is, why is the government not dealing with the matter? They want to sensationalize it, make it about his presence. When it doesn't necessarily have to be about his presence, you can proceed. Okay, so I don't see the meat of the matter at this point.
You've heard Prof say that if he was here, his conscience would be pricked and that he would see and hear what he has done. But
who says he's not listening or his conscience cannot be pricked with the communication, the conversation around it? He's alive.
But he should
the only way he cannot hear,
account for his stewardship.
No, but he will account for what?
His stewardship.
No, you don't have any crime that he ought to account for. You have questions. You want him to come and answer. Yes. Hold on. Now, if we make that point, we are going ahead of ourselves to say that he has committed a crime for which reason he has to come and answer.
The state says he has committed a crime.
Yes, that's a charge. You understand? It's a charge. People have been charged and they've gone to and they're exculpated. They're at the court. So I'm just saying that if you say you have a basis proceed with the charges.
Okay.
And the man says he claims health. Umaru, one thing I have learned, having gone through this accident, Umaru, I don't know why Moro is coming to mind. Umaru, is the idea that once you get to that point, you're a medical doctor, once you get to that point, nothing else matters. You can be the president of this republic. Who takes the decision and sign a certain act or a bill into law does not matter to you when you are suffering ill health. You may be the president, but you don't care who signs it. If the person who signs it will be the person to save you, you want that. So when you are there, all bets are off. So if Ken has a health issue, I'm telling you that if I were him, I would pay attention to get back on my feet. And he's doing just what anyone around the table will do. And I'm saying even including the president. So if you are a country and you want to proceed against him, do so. The basis exists for you to do that. Do that. If you're not doing that, you cannot make it about Ken. If you have concluded, just like the case is in Madam Sedna Tamaklo's case, that you have been convicted, come and serve your sentence, that one you have a legitimate point at that point. But right now, you are only forcing the man to come and answer a question.
Leave Ken
No, you proceed against him with the charges you have. Proceed. Let the trial proceed. He is losing the opportunity to be heard. So
it's his problem.
It's his problem. So you deal with it. Once you convict him, then now we have a case that all of us must join and say, come and serve your sentence. But for now, you don't have anything against him.
Can you agree? Kennedy, Ken Oforiatta, there's no problem. Let him be. You can prosecute him. But said now that
he can come, but if he's not here, it's not a basis for which you are not proceeding.
Okay.
And therefore, if he's not here, we can't try him.
Okay.
You understand?
Should we put Sedna and Ken in the same basket or not?
Sanda, corruption is our bane. We started off discussing the transport sector issues, and one of the key challenges is the road infrastructure. Sometimes you hear a certain road corridor and know that maybe 100 million could have done a lot to it. Then you hear within the public, space, one of the demonstrations I joined, you recall the Bank of Ghana had printed so much money, so much could not be accounted for, and people got away with it, right? Then you will come back and hear they want to collect taxes from our pockets, on fuel. So it gets you irritated as a Ghanaian. I do think that in the context of Ken and Sedinam Tamaklo, there's one thing, public resources, public trust were given them, right? How they held those offices. It calls for accountability. I do think that I agree with Prof. Bayo when he says that you should at least make an effort to account for whatever stewardship you were given. The attempt to hide behind, medical reasons, for me is neither here nor there. The same Ken Oforiatta was not 100% fit when he was even the finance minister. There were long spells. We were here. We got told that he had undergone, a medical surgery or something and was recovering. He was still the finance minister.
At the time, he was even supposed to be vetted. There were
yes,
some issues.
Yeah, there were issues for which he was not available.
So
the health issues did not.
Not to interject, but you see, so you are making a good point. At the time, his vetting and all of that, he had health issues. It was delayed until he was well to come. Now, if he says he's not well, and we still just have to wait for him to be well. But that does not stop you from trying him. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying that it doesn't stop you from trying him at all.
Richard, let me
proceed. Point is that let's prosecute him, whether or not he's here, so we can do that.
When you convict him, then necessarily.
You see, in the eyes of the public, we must see public office holders at least making an effort to be accountable. Yes. I was in this office. It is not every charge that should end up in court. Don't forget that. There are times I wouldn't understand how this was, and I'm thinking that, if this was, then probably there's an issue. Your explanation to me, if I am an investigative body, could tell me that, so this was nothing done deliberately. It even followed from this. There were some issues here that we needed to resolve. So for the purpose of accountability, it makes sense for you to just show up and say,
But it
look,
doesn't stop you. That's the point.
you see?
But does it stop you?
No, you see,
Go ahead.
I'm saying it is not every charge. Let's establish that. It is not every charge or suspicion that should end up in a courtroom because I suspect Sanda is carrying this pen. Maybe there's some,
It's a hidden camera. And I'm using
hidden
video.
camera,
It might
right?
be. It might be.
So if I am able to get him to engage, what I get from, oh, this is normal pen.
Big pen.
And so there's nothing really to even proceed from.
So hear
right?
from him before.
Hear from him. That is the rules of natural. You see, when we were discussing the earlier issue on Frimpong Boateng,
The NPP said they won't hear him.
you see, the rules of natural justice says that, look, even where the person has committed the offense, allow the person to probably to be heard.
But he said he won't come.
But Ken is saying he wouldn't want to be heard.
Let me hear from
Ken says he wouldn't want to be heard.
Let me just a brief on the medical issues. You know, he had something uttered by his medical team, giving a medical leave of a sort, which has since expired. As we stand today, there is no documentation anywhere that a doctor has barred him from traveling. ICE, by their standard practice, will not keep you in detention and not in a hospital if you had medical issues for which reason you needed care. So let's put two and two together. Yes, if you were arrested and you are
running down people, shooting people.
no, but when you are ill,
that
then
your
your right to health is protected.
No, they
You
are
may be
killing
in
healthy people. You are
detention.
telling me that the sick one.
Oh, no.
Okay,
But the point I want to make with Duncan is that,
If you come in, I won't talk about LGBT.
oh no, yeah, that's right. But the point I want to say,
Oh, you're okay, we don't talk about
that. The point I was going to make is that Ken Ofori-Atta availed himself to engage the investigators remotely, which the same OSP dealt with.
But
some
you see,
of
Richard, he didn't come in as remotely.
So when
he was the finance minister, the office was not held remotely.
So the morality of him coming is what you're asking.
It's important.
We said come and be with us.
No, I'm saying that.
The same Ofori-Atta told
Why are you
us. Richard,
shifting?
it was
You make a
my
point that
turn.
it ought to be
It was my turn, and you all jumped in. Richard, what I'm saying is this. Richard, what I'm saying is this. Richard, what I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is this. Richard,
to take your time.
Richard, what I'm saying is this. Richard,
justice.
Richard, what I'm saying is this. Richard, the same Ken Ofori-Atta, in one of his interviews, famous, was asked the way the economy has gone, does he think it prudent to resign? He said, we are his children. And a father cannot abandon his children. Today, the children are asking questions of, accountability.
Come home.
For me particularly,
Come home.
that National Cathedral and its expenditure.
You want explanation?
Exactly.
Yes.
Then some monies that went into the dam up north, Pualugu, some 12 million USD.
12 million.
We'll be happy to hear from him.
Okay.
So
But he's
available remotely.
The same way
He didn't lead us remotely.
There was a corruption issue nonetheless.
Let's
And
make
the OSP
progress.
traveled to go and talk to
Let's
him.
make progress
Why
in
hasn't the
concluding.
OSP
I'm going to
done
read. I'm going to read a statement from the National Catholic Secretariat. The first, second, third paragraph says, we acknowledge and welcome the clarification by the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, NACA, that the officially approved national curriculum does not include LGBTQ-related lessons. We commend NACA for withdrawing the offending material and issuing a revised manual aligned with national norms and values. Nevertheless, we remain convinced that this incident reveals deeper weaknesses in oversight, consultation, and value alignment within curriculum development process. Public trust in education depends on transparency, accountability, and fidelity to constitutional and moral principle. Prof. Bayo, when you were in opposition, you were on the rooftop shouting that the Akufo-Addo government wanted to legalize Chumu Chumu. Now, we've gone full circle, and it took Reverend Ntim Fojo to come out and announce that you have hidden something in the curriculum, only for you to come out and say, oh, he apologized and you are withdrawing. In 1 minute.
Okay, it's
Are you
interesting.
blowing hot and cold?
Not at all. Definitely not. First of all, let's be clear that I'm informed that that error has been rectified. About 700 or whatever publication have been withdrawn, and the deeper issue we should be looking at is how that error could even occur. But coming from Reverend Intim Fojo, I am surprised that he didn't own it, that this development process of this curriculum began under their tenure. Right? It did. If you know the processes by which curriculum is developed, you cannot get up in 3 months and develop a curriculum and publish it. The process for this curriculum, this physical education curriculum that we are talking about, began in 2024, right? If you want to change curriculum, you have to set new goals for the curriculum. The whole change that you want to do, you have to do consultation, and they have to go into the objectives of that curriculum and now draft it to get to the point of producing a manual.
You are suggesting they left it behind for you?
It was left behind, but my point is that at that point, there were corrective measures that should have taken place. And I don't want to do who is responsible, who is not responsible. I want us to realize that when it came out and that error was noticed,
it was dealt with.
It has been dealt with.
Very well.
And the issue I just want to put, so no one should try to use this to score political point here and there, because if you want to go to that level, the NPP cannot separate itself, the NPP government, because the development of this manual, the curriculum that led to the production of this manual, began under the NPP era. This new government has not brought any new curriculum.
Very well.
If we have time, I would have brought some other issues that I have seen personally, even with the Constitutional Review Committee's report on gender and some other things that I think, you see, you set up a committee to look at, and I'm sure government will take a critical look at that, because some of the comments in there may be promoting.
Thank you.
Edits.
Richard, they are listening government celebrate the Nipaya Ade Osai.
Umaru.
Richard, I'll bring you.
I know. Umaru, this government, this NDC government is responsible, period.
It's responsible.
This is responsible for sneaking this bad education into the minds of our children.
Inherited it.
They didn't inherit anything.
You set a trap and left for them, and they fell inside.
Umaru, they didn't inherit anything from us. That went out. You understand?
That's true.
They didn't inherit anything.
They brought it out.
They brought it.
So they should take responsibility.
So if a process starts today, and the process you disagree with, those cases against the NDC people, those cases against the NDC people in court, including Honorable, not before this, this MP for SUTF, what's the name? Collins Dauda, and the rest, about 6, 7, 8 of them, that the Attorney General issued null prosequi against. Were there not cases started at us? When they didn't like it, when they wanted to free their people, didn't they issue a null prosequi? So what are you telling me, that a process started under us, and were there specific rights?
Let me say something. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Professor Titus Gayo. Thank you for agreeing not to comment on this matter. Franklin Kujo, who is joining me virtually. Thank you. Thank you so much, Franklin Kujo. Thank you, Dr. Atake. No. I'm not going to Richard now. That's Richard over there. Dr. Atake, thank you. Dr. Bernard Abiku Arthur, thank you. Viewers, thank you. Producers, thank you. Director, everybody, we are grateful. The Big Issue returns next week. I am Umaru Sandamado.
Communities all across the country, and the energy is off the charts. The quest to uncover the most deserving stories has kicked into high gear. Stay tuned for the thrilling reveal and the grand celebration of our esteemed 10 Channel 1 TV community legends, only on Channel 1 TV.
looking at my expression, I'm so sad that the Heritage Caravan 2025 is ending. This is our final day on the Caravan. We're going to leave Maha and head back to Accra. I'm sad. I know patrons who I'll speak to later will also share the experiences on the 8-day journey with us, Channel 1 TV and City FM, and share the experiences, the joys, the highs, the lows, the friendships, the networks that have been built. And we'll be telling you more. Stick and stay. This is Heritage Caravan 2025. So, what's the reasoning behind Standard Water sponsoring Heritage Caravan 2025?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to send my greetings to your viewers and the listeners. The reason is simple. It's about tradition. Standard Water is a local brand, and one of our values is tradition, Ghanaian culture, and able to reach people all over Ghana. And City Caravan has same values. So this is what a big platform for us to be on, for us to be able to extend those, share our values to Ghanaians.
Do you think that the purpose for which you joined the Caravan has been achieved? Do you think that your brand has been recognized across Ghana or all the places that we went to?
Oh, sure. For us, it was well recognized throughout Ghana. But for our bottle, one of the prime aim that we came on board was for people to know that Standard Water, we sell bottles, and in fact we sell premium bottles, and it has been achieved. As you can see, we have been hydrating you for the past 8 years, so people are now aware. 8 days, yes. So people are now aware that we have bottles, and the others are keep on coming. So our aim has been achieved.
Will we be seeing you next year on the Heritage Caravan?
Yes, sure.
Tell me the experience for Standard Water as you joined the Heritage Caravan, and indeed yourself as an individual. What was the experience like?
Okay, thank you so much. I would like to start from the corporate view. I think that as a corporate institution, it's been a very wonderful experience for us to team up with others, to partner with you, to do this Heritage Caravan. For me, seeing people drink Standard Water, seeing people talk to me about Standard Water, now we are getting requests, orders, and it is a very wonderful thing for the company. We are hoping that having come on board, now we'll be getting calls upon calls, orders, and we are ready to quench the thirst of Ghanaians. Wherever you are, Standard Water is ever ready to satisfy you and give you your supplies.
GOIL is one of our major sponsors. Why does GOIL sponsor the Caravan every year?
Oh, it's a great experience, and with this kind of caravan, it exposes each company, and at the end of the day, the reason why GOIL